Well, hello, everyone. The first official true crime show for Crime Analysis 101 with Detective John. And I'll be making an announcement here shortly. I'm really happy to be with you. We've been, the team's been working really hard to try and put together a good show for you tonight. It's going to be very unique what we've done. I had a vision a while ago, and I just needed to put the right people in place to help make that vision come true. And I think you guys are really going to like it. Pop your popcorn, because it's kind of like a movie, and you guys will really enjoy it. You'll have some familiarity with some of the clips that I'm going to show you. So a lot of you hopefully will relate. What am I wearing? I'm wearing my World Championship Daytona Beach Boys. These are representing my boys in Daytona. We're a major softball team and we're world champions. And this is my bling, a world champion ring. I got 7 of these, but I wanted to show my love for my boys. And that's my passion. I love to play ball. Actually going to Vegas next month. And then we're going to Utah for the Huntsman games. But I want to address something real quick, and then we're not going to talk about it anymore. Okay? All of the little Napoleon stuff, I don't anticipate having to talk about that individual and his minions or his cult following, his Rev gang, any of those thugs. I don't want to talk about them anymore. I'm done with what I got to do, but I will tell you, and T-Rev, I'm sure you're listening, buddy. I was on the phone today for about an hour and a half with an individual that was really close with you at one time. Gave me a lot of really interesting information. Worse, except for the 50 grand that you owe your ex. Or no, she's not your ex. I'm sorry, your wife. For those 2 children that we're going to hopefully get the ball rolling, so you'll have to pay them. And but there's some telling information that if you mess with me, anyone associated with this show, any of your minions come onto my show or say anything derogatory about me personally and get into my personal business, I'm gonna dedicate an entire show, and I'm gonna have that person on this show. That person wants to come on this show pretty badly, but I told him, no, I'm done. I'm done. Let it go. I did what I had to do. Angel Girl 1980, sleeping well at night. She's back rekindled with her grandchildren, and we're done. We got the ball rolling on with the state on you being held accountable for the $50,000, nearly $50,000 that you owe in child support. And do the right thing, buddy. Pay up. As you would say, pay up, sucker. And that's the last I'm going to say about it. I don't anticipate having to address this again unless provoked. I'm asking, don't provoke me anymore, and I won't utter your name. You provoke me, and it's on. So, moving right along. First official show about true crime. This is what I want to do. Now, we're going to do other things too. We're going to talk about things associated with crime. We're going to talk about the psyche. We're going to talk about a lot of things during these shows. I've got some great ideas. My team's aboard. They're really excited. And tonight, I've got something really special. First, I'm not going to do that right now, not yet. A little teaser out there, but I'm going to be introducing somebody that's not just going to be a guest on this show. It's going to be a part of this show. It's going to be associated with this show 100%. Going to have say in this show. It's going to be my right-hand person. Going to be my executive producer, because my son, who's sitting here next to me, he's got school. So, and he's dual enrolled. He's going to high school and college at the same time. And I can't put that on him. But he's done a great job thus far. But this individual that I'm going to introduce here in a little bit, I love him. He's like a brother from another mother. And we're going to rock this thing. We're going to be different than anyone else. We're going to be funny, but serious, firm, but loving. And we're going to do the right thing. We're going to talk about the truth. We're going to call out, and I mean it, we're going to call out these irresponsible so-called creators that spew this garbage. We need it. We need that. YouTube needs that, because it's unbelievable. Unbelievable, the stuff that has been allowed to be said. It's just unbelievable to me. I understand we all have a First Amendment right. We all get to say what we want to say. But just because you can put the word allegedly in front of it doesn't mean you can say it. Doesn't mean you should say it. It's wrong what has been perpetrated against these victims' families and their names. It's horrific. It burns me up, and it should burn each and every one of you up. Think about if those were your children, your brother, your sister, that were brutally taken from you at the hands of an evil, evil, evil man. And then to have some internet sleuth accuse your sister of being a drug dealer, accuse the entire house of being involved in drugs with no evidence to support it. All for clicks, people. All for taking a mouse and clicking to get them what? Money. It's wrong. And I want each and every one of you to email me every time you watch one of their shows and something they have said bothers you. Break it down for me. Send me the show, the time, the clip, whatever you need to do. Detective John 68 at Gmail. That's Detective John, all one word, 68 at Gmail. That's my year of birth. So I'm 55 years old. Pretty original, isn't it? So we're gonna do that. We're gonna hold these individuals, these pathetic individuals, especially the ones that aren't even from our country, that are slamming our legal system and our police, and they have Americans on their shows supporting them. You better be ready to be called out. I've already sent out invitations. Harsh, you're watching, I bet you, buddy. I sent you multiple invites. Come on over to my show. I'm not going to bite your head off, brother, but you better be ready. You better be prepared. Spew that stuff to me. You better be prepared, buddy. Because I'm going to challenge you. I love a challenge, especially from an Aussie, and I love Aussies. I love to hear you talk, man. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. That's why people like you. I think they tune in more for the comedy than anything else. Because you have no integrity. Zero. I'm going to call each and every one of you out. People are like, oh, no, don't call out other creators. Watch me. Watch close. Listen. Because I'm gonna do it. We need to do it. And like I said, each and every one of you, email me. I've got over 500 emails right now. I went through like 150 last night and yesterday. So if I don't get it right away, I'm not ignoring you, people. I promise you. So let me go through some names here and see who we got. Just want to say hello. I'm not going to do every one, but I just want to introduce some people in here. I want to say what a great job that my mods, I've got people lining up wanting to be mods. I'm vetting them. Got a couple that say they want to, and they just need to work out some time. But I've got Mindi and Kelley. Thank you. They're my sisters from another mister. They're my heart and soul. They're bulldogs, pit bulls, whatever you want to call them. They're awesome, and I appreciate them. So Willow's in here. Hello, Willow. Am I going to be streaming the hearing tomorrow? I've got a tournament that I've got to go to. Probably not. I don't need to stream it live. What's the point? We pick it apart later. I mean, other people will be streaming it live. I'm okay with that, everybody. So if you want to watch it somewhere else, that's fine with me. I'm not going to be like that other creator and say, you can't go to any other channel and watch it. Go for it. But the live thing, I mean, nothing really there for me. That kind of stuff doesn't excite me. It's just a hearing. Got Marianne Thorpe. Thank you. Hello. Gianna. Hello. Melissa French. Giovanna DeStefano. Crimes, Lies, and Videotape. Love the name. Kelley D, of course. Sportsy Girl. Is it Sportsy Girl? Yeah, Sportsy Girl. I'm doing great. How are you, darling? Donna Wheeler. Frankie. What's up, Frankie? Got your messages. Jay Greer. You got True Texas Girl. That's right. I ate Texas Roadhouse last night. Yep, one of my favorite places to eat. Kaylin. Crimes, Lies, and Video Play. Okay, yeah. You got Marianne Thorpe. There she is. All right, Somer. Gianna Gitt. Rob H. Let's see. There's so many on here. I can't go through them all. We need to go on with the show. I'll get better at this, everyone. I promise you I'll get better. So what I want to cover tonight, if you saw my tagline is we need to cover some stuff that's been spewed from the beginning of this. But first of all, first thing I want to do is I want to introduce my main man. Some people have already figured it out. I'm seeing it. So we're gonna bring this guy in. Go on, bring him in. And there he is, the man of the hour, my boy Jeff.
Jeff Man, everybody's psychic. Everybody's already guessing it. I didn't know we had.
Yeah, they know our history, man. They know how bad I wanted you to be a part of this with me.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to be here, Jen. Good to be with you.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I'm very excited to have Jeff as part of it. He's, like I said, he's not a guest. Jeff is part of this show. Jeff's going to be my executive producer. He's going to be, he's going to have daily. I mean, we talk, 10 times, 12 times today, at least, for 15, 20-minute pops at a time.
Right.
I had a lot of visions, and, I bounce them off of Jeff. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I want to pull this video, and he helped me put it all together. He's amazing when it comes to videography and stuff. If I want it done, Jeff, he makes it happen. I'm not that savvy with that stuff. My son is, but I can't have him here all the time. And Jeff's going to be much more to this show. And I want to give him a warm welcome, and
thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Give him the floor for a few minutes, and then we're going to get into what we've been working on for the past few days. So go ahead, Jeff.
This is good, man. Because for so long there, I wasn't kind of allowed to talk to you, and wasn't, not that that was ever really said, but it was, you could just sense it that, wasn't supposed to be talking to you. I think the deal in the beginning was, how would you feel if I did help John with his channel? I don't think I'd be too cool with that. I was like, all right, fine. So, I mean, it's like we were on a course to be all like the Three Musketeers, is what I thought.
Right.
What I hoped for. Because when I first started watching, it was like, man, Detective John really adds something to a show. And, he knows his stuff. He's got the experience. And it's just made for good conversation. And, and then here it come along. And it's like, the fact that I met the two of you, I just thought, wow, this is amazing. And then we kind of became friends. And then I realized, wait, I'm in the middle of something going on here. And crap, it doesn't look like it's going to work out like I thought it was. And believe me, tell him, John, I tried everything. I tried everything.
I tell you, and what's funny is you've caught a lot of heat from that gang, because that's what it is. It's a gang. Yeah. And there I go. I don't want to talk about them, but you caught a lot of heat.
Yeah. And, I went. No, I went there. I took you there.
It was uncalled for, and I'm sorry for that, man. I really am. I'm so sorry for it, because Jeff's a Christian man. He's not like me. I'm confrontational as hell. That's just how I am. If I see something that bothers me, I'm not going to let it, fester. I'm going to address it. And there are people, and there's nothing wrong with this. There are people that are just kind of like, they don't want to be confrontational. They just want to have peace. And that's not me. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody that's not like me is a coward or anything like that. They're just peace.
Right.
And
being ourselves.
And happiness.
Being genuinely ourselves is a good thing. I see nothing, nothing.
But what I don't like is, people suggesting that because I'm a Christian that I can't fight for myself. I can't defend myself or others, or I can't be confrontational.
Right.
It's just not in my nature, not in my DNA anyway.
Yeah.
Rob H wants, so Jeff, so I'll fill you in, Rob. I'm sorry, on Jeff. Jeff's his profession is he does commercials. Like, he did a lot of political commercials. He's a videographer. He's an editor. That's what he does. So on another show, I found a lot of value in Jeff, and every time I was on that show, and I thought we should have something, even when Jeff wasn't really part of any part of the show, he chimed in every now and then. I remember I would say, you know what, if Jeff was here, I'd have that in 0.5 seconds, and bam, one day when he hadn't been on the show for a while, he was kind of creeping, I think, when he heard me say that, and bam, it was there.
Yeah.
Something that would have probably taken most people, 15, 20 minutes to do. Jeff had it in 30 seconds.
Because you had called into the show, and you were saying that, And I was like, I know you're only going to be on this call for, I got to get it done and sent
Yeah.
before the call's over. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think I made it before you got off the phone, or maybe I missed you. I might have just missed you. I can't remember.
And then with the Elantra, I was on the phone with you, Jeff, and we were talking about the video that came out, and I said, find a 2015 Elantra and superimpose it on that brow. I call the windows on the side of the car, everyone, are called what's called a traffic homicide investigator. So we learn a lot of this technical talk and stuff in schools. But the brow, it looks like an eyeball. If you look at it from the side, it looks like an eye. It's the brow of the window that comes from the front of the driver's door, goes around to the back on a 4-door, and then comes back across the top of the door. That is the brow. So you can identify a lot of vehicles by the brow. So a lot of this stuff is a lot of these vehicles are identified by that, and they may change headlights, taillights, all this other stuff, but the brow usually remains the same. So you can identify cars that way. So I was telling Jeff, hey man, I think it'd be awesome if you could take that video, grab a 2015 Elantra and superimpose it on top of that and line it up with that brow and shut these people up. And he did it. And it's probably one of the most watched of all the videos surrounding this case. And
I think it's
awesome.
I think it's pretty telling that Linda Lane footage where the car stops for 10 seconds and sits there, and it's like, it's almost as if it says, "Here I am, compare me to vehicles."
And then you made it blink, and it was like,
yeah.
It was perfect.
Because that blinking on there, that's what I was doing for myself. I'd line it up, because when it's over top of you got to turn it on and off to see if you got it, if it's lining up. I mean, believe me, if it didn't line up, I would have said it's not a match. But man, it is a match.
But did I know it was a match? I knew it was a match.
Good eye.
Like, I'm telling you, it's a match from the very beginning on the rooftop. When Jack was on the rooftop and that white car was down below, they were purporting that's an Elantra. I'm like, that's not an Elantra. Just pull up an Elantra and put it right next to it. It's not an Elantra. Yes, it is. It's Elantra. Anyway.
But now when you watch all what is it? It's 4 passes around those buildings plus the one U-turn. I mean, when you just watch them all at once, I mean, it's pretty compelling to me. It's like if it was a different vehicle, you'd be able to see something's different. I think pass number 2 and 3 are almost exactly the same speed.
But it was like a speedway, man. He was like doing his test runs, his escape route. He went around multiple times, and he even accelerated.
That last one, the last one was like
the last one. I mean, he accelerated to go through there. It was a test run, but you know what, man? He's just out for an evening drive or an early morning drive.
Yeah.
That's just what he does.
At 4 a.m. you get a lot of phone calls, so you got to turn your phone off.
Yeah, man.
You don't want anything to interrupt your driving at 4 a.m.
I mean, I could understand if it was like in the middle of the city and you're going to go troll for prostitutes or something, and he was a John, but they're kind of out in the country. I don't think that's an option where he was.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so you're a John.
That's
you ever take offense at being called a John?
Yeah. That's spelled differently.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we're going to address some stuff that people have been saying from the beginning of this, and it just irks me. It irks me so because you know what it is? It's either, I know people are not that obtuse. They cannot be. But you know what I think a lot of people are? Is they're extremely naive. Maybe they live in their bubbles. They haven't been out in the real world. Maybe they haven't watched a violent movie. Maybe they just, they just don't think. And I'm not saying that to try and sound condescending. I'm saying that because life experiences today are very important. If you don't have these life experiences, then how can you even suggest what I'm about to say as being true. And what I'm referring to, and a creator the other night did a survey, ironically, as we were planning this show. She did a survey and she said, how many of you think that Brian Kohlberger allegedly did this alone? And however many of you think he didn't. So I think the end result was like 70-30, 30% of them believe that he couldn't do it alone. And to me, that's a staggering number. That's a staggering number. That 30% of the people surveyed, and I don't know what the poll numbers were on that, but 30% of them actually believe that there's no way that this man could have done it. And I've read in chats, and I've read, I've listened to people on panel. There ain't no way. There's no way that one man could do this. I'm gonna prove them wrong. And if you watch this show tonight and you still feel that there's no way that Brian allegedly T. Kohlberger could have done this alone, I would have to say your IQ is probably hovering around 70. So what we're going to do is we compiled some video of things that you're all going to be able to relate to, most of you anyway. You've seen them. You've seen this footage. Some of it is, they're from movies, so it's not actual real life footage. But, people like Steven Spielberg, they create a movie to make it realistic. So when you watch these clips, you'll be able to kind of understand where I'm going with it. And if afterwards you feel like there's no way that one man could take a 9-inch, that's that long, K-bar knife that's designed to take lives. It's designed to do that. Designed to go into the body, you twist it, you pull it back out, you do major damage. Designed for that. Even the hill, the end of the knife, that's designed to give blows, to incapacitate, to gouge. It's a killing weapon. It's designed for that. That's why the United States military, the Marine Corps, in 1942, decided that was going to be their weapon of choice. The Navy also did as well. So we're going to talk about the knife. We're going to talk about the history of the knife. Kind of a funny story behind the name K-bar that I'm sure many of you did not know, and I didn't know. Just recently found it out. Just doing research on the knife itself, the history. So we're going to go there, and we're going to address. My son's giving me stats. What are the stats? Go ahead and say them.
25 away from 400.
People watching right now?
Subscribers.
We got about 400 subscribers right now. That's awesome. For a first show. Jeff, is that awesome or what?
That's awesome, John. Good job.
That's freaking insane.
The word will spread. Tell your friends, right?
Thank you. We're going to do this right. We're going to have fun, like I said. But anyway, back to the topic. If at the end of this, any of you doubters still feel like one man couldn't wield a 9-inch K-bar knife and take 4 lives. Now, 4 lives that were, we're all speculating, but based on the video footage that we saw at the grub truck and the fact that we know that the others were at a frat party earlier, one would only surmise that there was, they were, we know that Kelley and Maddie were inebriated. We saw the video footage.
Definitely Maddie. I mean, Maddie was.
Yeah, definitely Maddie. Kelley, I look at Kelley as kind of like the mother, the big sister she was the more, and nothing against Maddie, but
Right,
I look
right.
at Kelley as kind of the mother hen of the two. If you watch that video, you could surmise that. It's kind of obvious. One was pretty lit and one was lit, but not as lit.
Right.
So you have to, these are things that we need to all think about when we think about 4 people at 4 o'clock in the morning, around about, after partying all night, being in their house, boyfriend and girlfriend, probably doing what boyfriend and girlfriend do. I know I was. 2 best friends, giggling, having fun. One's getting ready to move to Texas. It's her last weekend there. She's going to go hang with her parents for a couple weeks and do some kind of vacation, and then she's moving away. Hanging out, probably laying in bed, giggling, trying to get a hold of Jack. Inebriated. Ambushed by a man dressed in all black, covering his face. All you could see was his eyes, those bushy eyebrows, wielding a 9-inch horrifying weapon. Ambushed. So think about that word, ambushed. When someone is ambushed, that means unexpected, surprised.
Yeah, taken by surprise. Yep.
You're not ready to fight. You're not ready to defend yourself. You're not ready to grab anything, a chair or something to defend yourself. You're probably kicked back with your friend laying in bed. And here comes Satan.
Just like by the time you realize what's going on, it's too late.
Right. And we don't know what he was there for. We don't know if he was there for both of them. We don't know if he was there for one of them. We don't know whether they were in separate rooms, which I doubt. I don't believe they were ever in separate rooms. I think they were in Maddie's room the whole time. Some people argue that fact because of where the dog was, but you know, I know those dogs. My mother-in-law had one of those dogs, the Labradoodles. They're very high strung. They're hyper. They jump around. They're hard to calm down. So, you know, there comes a time where it's time for bed. You know, go in your room. They probably wanted to lay together, and they've been best friends since the 6th grade. They love each other.
And this was her last night there, right? She was supposed to be leaving
last night there.
The next day.
It was in social media. Remember, so Maddie was actually posting that Kelley was going to be gone. I don't remember the exact verbiage, what was said, but she put that out there. And parents, I've got an 18-year-old daughter, but I've always told her, you don't need to have diarrhea of the mouth. You don't need to have a diarrhea of the mouth. You don't need to. You don't need to tell everybody where you are at all times. You don't need to do that. So I think that could have been, you know, if hypothetically he's following them on social media, he knows everything. So there are a lot of opinions out there, guys. There's a lot of theories. You know, I think it's pretty simple. I don't think it's as nefarious as people think. But I do know this. All we need is somebody to have an ability to commit the crime. Where are my notes? Where's my pad with my notes on it?
Hey, John, you know, I think, wait, who was it made a good point here? Texas Ranger. I think they're right on that. Yeah, because it was a 7-inch knife sheath, I think, that was found, not a 9.
Yeah, I meant 7. My bad.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, still.
No, wait.
Do some serious damage. That's what that an article said. Yeah, it was a 7-inch sheath.
So all we need to prove. We don't need to prove anything other than means, which Brian Kohlberger obviously was in good shape. The guy he ran. There's a guy that testified that he ran. He's thin, he's tall, he's lanky, he's strong, he's into boxing, kickboxing. There's proof of that. Means and opportunity. I don't know. He's out driving around 4 o'clock in the morning. He admits that. That's his alibi. I just go out driving around.
You think he had more than one target in mind when he was driving all over the place? You think it was just this one that he's
no. I think that something set him off. Could it have been the fact that it was posted that she was leaving town? Could it have been her? We don't know. We don't know if it was Kelley or Maddie was a target. We don't know if it was Xana. Certainly it was probably not Ethan, because he had no idea Ethan was going to be there.
Right.
So, I mean,
I think I always assumed Maddie because of that window, because of the opportunities to see basically what was going on in through Maddie's window. Seemed like the chances to see.
No, that's Kaylee's window.
No, I think the back one, the one that faces the back is Maddie's. Could have had the letter M in the back of it and the pink boots, and pretty sure. Unless I get that wrong. If I've got it wrong, I've had it wrong for a while. But I think it's.
I think it's somebody correct us. I think that.
Yeah, no, because I think Kaylee's room had the dog.
Kaylee's
room had a.
Kelley had the dog, and the sliders were facing the back in that back lot. So Kelley had the dog, right?
Right.
I'm so tired, I don't even remember, but doesn't matter. So anyway, means and opportunity. We know he had the means. We know he had the opportunity. Motive. That's a bonus. That's a bonus. So we may never know. We may never know. Yeah. Kaylee's room was in the back. That's what people are saying.
Yeah, I was gonna look at that virtual tour. Yeah.
So what I want to do tonight is Jeff and I have been working on this. Let's see. Maddie's closer to the come on, John. The motive, you need a motive to kill 4 people. That's not what I'm saying. I'll pull it back up. Jesse's saying you need a motive to kill 4 people. Did I say that you didn't have to have a motive? I said we don't have to have a motive in court. You don't have to prove a motive, Hosey. You don't have to prove it. That's a bonus if you can. You just have to prove means and opportunity. That's it. Motive is a bonus. So,
hey John, I'll be right back.
So Jeff and I have been working on putting together a video that's going to help explain how someone could actually wield a knife and kill 4 people. It's pretty simple. And we're going to show you, but I'm going to wait for Jeff to get back. Because he needs to be part of this. He helped me put the video together, and I want him back here. So let me read some of these. All right. According to legal docs, no connection between the accused and victim. So says AT. I don't care what AT says. AT plays on words. She's a defense attorney. She's doing her job. I don't care what AT says. I do know that she got her butt handed to her for one of her last ones where she accused the state of withholding evidence. She was admonished. You can't tell me that she wasn't, because that was the most unprofessional document I've ever seen an attorney write. If I was that attorney, I would have just smoked her and let her know that that was unprofessional. And you know what? When she came back for the hearing, she was backstroking. Your Honor, I wasn't trying to imply. I'm paraphrasing here. I wasn't trying to imply that the state was withholding evidence. I don't think that they did or that they are. Yeah, read that document.
That's the one she dropped on. They dropped on that Friday before the weekend. Is that the?
Yep.
And then on Monday,
she tactfully did that. Everyone, she did that because she knew it would be posted, and we could all talk about it all weekend long about what a great document she dropped and how she slammed the state. Well, guess what? When the judge saw that, I'm just speculating here, but I do happen to know a little bit about how this works, and I've seen it happen. Judges don't like that stuff. She made a mockery of the court. She made a mockery of the system. She grandstanded just so we could have something to talk about over the weekend and send those subliminals out there. That's what she did. Then, if you watch the hearing following that, she pretty much was kissing that judge's butt. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll with a video that Jeff and I put together, and it's going to kind of lay some stuff out. I'm going to interrupt the video. I'm going to narrate some stuff. Jeff's even got a little bit of a personal thing in there. We'll talk about that because the way it came out was totally accidental. Yeah. And it just kind of
cool.
When we tell you the story, you're going to laugh because it was just hilarious. But pay attention to the video and listen to what people say. Think about the situation. Try to relate it to what these victims were facing. And Dylan. Think about Dylan. So there's Steven Spielberg, for example. No one does a better job of making someone feel like this is shock and awe. This is fear. He does a really good job. And during this whole fiasco of listening to these people spew their nonsense, I put no value in the fact that Dylan didn't dial 911. I don't care. Has no bearing on this case. And I bet you that when this trial happens, it's going to be like, wow, okay, I get it now. But we don't know. But I put no stock in it. I don't care that she didn't dial 911. But I can assure you that if she saw what we think that she saw, it would be only natural for someone to be in shock or just totally petrified to even move. And I compared it. I said, you remember that scene in Jaws where Brody is out looking for the kids and the girl's in a small sailboat with her boyfriend, and Jaws comes and gets him, and she's so petrified that she's curled up in the boat and Brody doesn't see her. You'll see. So let's roll it, Tanner. This is the history of K-bar. So you're going to learn a little bit about a K-bar knife. This is interesting stuff.
Father and uncle gone, Danforth, at age 26, assumes the role of president of the Union Cutlery Company. Union Cutlery survives the 1930s under young Danforth Brown's guidance.
Danforth Brown, led the company through the Great Depression and brought them right up to World War II.
War looms on the horizon. When it comes time to produce combat knives for the U.S. military, Union Cutlery has the skill, equipment, and infrastructure in place. Union Cutlery is just one of a number of cutlery companies that supply troops with combat knives. The most famous, the 1219 C2, or USMC Fighting Utility Knife, is designed, refined, and submitted for approval to the U.S. government by USMC Captain Howard America, USMC Colonel John Davis, and Danforth Brown. Danforth decides to use the K-Bar trademark on products made for U.S. troops. This collaboration forms the foundation of K-Bar's relationship with the United States Armed Forces.
A lot of people, when they see a K-Bar, they say, boy, it's quite a fearsome weapon, pretty amazing knife to use in possibly a hand-to-hand situation in combat. But for most soldiers, it's a utilitarian use. A lot of folks use them for preparing hooches, as we call them, or shelters in the woods. Use them for preparing food.
Union Cutlery isn't the first to produce the 1219 C2, and they don't make the most of the combat knife. But according to troops in the field,
hey, you know what, Jose? You know what? I'm going to say it, and I don't like to kick people out of the show. This is your warning. Knock it off. Josie, or whatever your name is. Are you a girl? I can't tell. Josie, knock it off. If you want to stay in here and you want to talk, fine. Knock it off. Ladies, if Josie says one more thing, bye-bye, Josie. I'm sorry, guys. I don't like to kick people out of the show, but she's an antagonist. And if you're going to do that, Josie, then you're not welcome here.
they make the best version.
A lot of soldiers and Marines, when they came back from the Pacific, brought their K-Bars with them. Refused to leave them behind. They brought their knives home, and we talked to Marines, 80, 90-year-old guys that still have their K-Bars at home.
Despite the different manufacturers, American troops begin to refer to all fixed blade style knives as K-Bars. In May 1952, Union Cutlery officially changes its name to K-Bar.
Now, the name K-Bar was trademarked.
This is interesting, everyone. This is what I recently learned about the name K-Bar. It's pretty interesting. Just imagine somebody saying kill a bear, kill a bear, kill a bear back in the day.
In 1923, and as the story goes, K-Bar stood for kill a bear. Legend has it that a letter came in from a hunter who used his knife to kill a bear that had mauled him. From there, K-Bar was a trademark of the Union Cutlery Company.
Bladesmiths, welcome to our strength test. And what I'm going to do is take each of your knives. I'm going to thrust and chop into these paint cans several times. I don't really care what the blades do to the cans. It's more about what the cans do to you.
All right, so what we have here is one of my favorite shows. And Josie, you're not just asking questions. You're being an antagonistic jerk. So be a smart aleck all you want, but you're going to be out of this show in about 0.2 seconds if you say one more smart aleck remark. Sorry. That's not what we're about. Go back to that other show because you fit right in to the classless people in that show. Not all, but a lot. So anyway, this is Forged in Fire. So what they do, if no one's watched this show, I would highly recommend it. It's a great show. It seems like it would be boring, but it's not. So you have I think it's 4 participants. They are given a knife or a sword or an edged weapon that they have to actually make out of raw materials. So they give them basically a clump of materials. They got to melt them all down. They got to forge them together, and they got to create a weapon. So this show, they were given the task of creating a K-bar. And it's a 9-inch K-bar. So I think that the K-bar was a 9-inch, not a 7-inch. There's 2 sizes. There's a 7-inch and a 9-inch. 7-inch is a smaller one. But anyway, they were given the task. And what these guys do, there's 3 or 4 guys that actually take those knives and they try to destroy them because they want to see if the integrity of the knife, if it was built strong, if it's going to meet spec, and survive the test that they put them through. And they're brutal tests. These guys actually get hurt trying to break these weapons. I've seen them break them, and the blades have flown up and hit them in the face. They've cut their hands, and there's things about the knife that you will learn if you start watching the show, like the guard, the part that's on the knife right here. So when you're stabbing something, or you're wielding it, so your hand doesn't go down and slide down the knife and cut your hand. And there's the tang, which is where which comes up from the blade that the handle goes over. That all has to be very strong. So these guys build these knives, and then the winner in the end gets $10,000 usually. And then they get to go to a championship show or a round. But it's a great show. It's really educational, because what they do is they talk about, medieval weapons. They talk about, weapons from all different times, Bronze Age, Iron Age. And it's really cool. They've done samurai swords, and this is cool. So what this is he's got 3 knives, and he's gonna take these knives, and he's gonna plunge these knives, the same knife that was used. He's going to plunge them into metal paint cans full of red paint. And I want you to watch his face. Imagine what allegedly Brian Kohlberger was thinking that night. Imagine the adrenaline pump that he had to have had wielding that huge knife. These are metal cans. I want you to watch what these metal cans look like when he's done. Think about how many times someone would have to strike you with this huge knife to incapacitate you, especially when you're about that thin and maybe about this wide. Just think about that. And
hey,
watch
John,
this.
I got a question for you before you start.
Hold on a second. Go ahead, Jeff.
Is there a way to stack our pictures on top of each other and make that screen bigger of the video you're showing?
Yeah.
If not, we can do it later.
No, you're the
also
you-
to it sounds like the sound is coming through for the video coming through your microphone. I don't know if maybe it sounds a little.
We're learning, people.
Sounds a little bit distant. Maybe if you mute your microphone when you play the video, it might sound better. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna mute my mic.
See if go ahead and play the video. See what. Okay, yeah, pause it. I think the audio for the video is coming through your mic. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
This is a strength test right here.
Finding the edges of it.
Watch the violence here.
I'm so glad I wore my brown pants.
I'm so glad I wore my brown pants. All right, so what we have here, this is ballistic gel. I actually looked into buying some of this and using a K-bar knife because I know this show and I thought it would be a pretty cool thing. But this stuff's expensive. It's like $650 for one of those. I love y'all, but I don't love you that much. So this ballistic gel actually has simulated organs in there with some kind of a red material. I don't know if it's dye or what it is, but this guy is a excellent Takata, I think is his last name. He's an excellent wielder. He is unbelievable with edged weapons. You'll see him in other shows, decapitating these ballistic dummies. But he knows how to take someone's life with an edged weapon. And I want you to watch this. I'm going to back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit, Tanner. Start it back up. All right. So we're going to end it there, and then we're going to pick up on that part. And I want you to watch what can be done here. All right, go ahead. So you still think that one person couldn't do this? You still think that one person couldn't take the life of 4 people with the knife that you just saw him wielding? Yeah. I'd be doubting that thought if you didn't believe that that could happen. I'd be doubting myself right now if I felt that way. All right. So this is the reality of a knife attack.
Actually, this one, John, we should be we should figure out that sound issue, because if we don't hear the sound on this one, it's gonna kind of because this guy's speaking, we need to hear this audio. Is the audio on the player all the way up? Oh, there's not something in the settings, is there, where you gotta check a checkbox? Yeah, if you go into like when you go to present, there is a checkbox at the bottom that says share tab audio. Is that turned on?
Sorry, y'all. Growing pains.
So you get to see how the bread's
share
made,
tab
right?
audio's checked. It's all checked.
It is checked.
Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get it. Maybe back
So anyway,
up. Maybe
while
play a
we're
little
doing
bit of
that-
the end of the previous video or something, and just to check if you want to test the audio there.
Right. I think he's getting it. Hold on here.
Tanner's on it. Tanner's on it.
I am not knowing. We'll figure it out though. Are you not hearing it at all, Jeff?
Yeah, like right now I don't hear it at all, because I know there's like music. Technically, they're called stabs. Music stabs with the hits of the fish getting cut. We should be hearing that.
Back up. I'm not on the screen. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, or I can hear you.
Hold on, guys. Here we go. Test, test, test.
Yeah, I think it's just the video that we're having trouble hearing.
Well, that's going to stink if we don't hear the video. Are you not hearing it at all, or is it just low?
You know, well, remember before you muted your microphone when we tried that, it was sounding like it was coming through the mic, but it would. I mean, you could just take the mic and put it down towards the. You're hearing it okay in the room with you?
All right. Well, I don't know. So what we have here is the reality of a knife attack. He's going to talk about a little bit of some tactics used by assailants that wield a knife. So, and then we're going to go into another one where you actually see a knife actually impacting flesh of a carcass, not a human carcass. So I need to say, hey, beware, guys. If you got a weak stomach, don't watch. It's not that bad, but, you know, alert. So here's the reality of a knife attack.
A dynamic of a knife attack would look like this. I'm going to do a scenario with you, okay? This is how it's going to look.
I want to be able to stop.
Ready? What's going on, man?
All right. He applied about 5 or 6 blows right there to the back. And the reality, and you'll hear him say it, the reality here is most people don't even realize they're stabbed until they start to walk away, because they really don't feel it.
That's how fast it's going to go. You're probably going to get hit 2 or 3 times, or maybe up to 5 times before the knife you realize you're getting stabbed.
Now let's watch that again. We're going to watch that again. So watch this again.
That's how fast it's going to go. You're probably going to get hit 2 or 3 times, or maybe up to 5 times before the knife you realize you're getting stabbed. right? And he pulls out his knife, starts stabbing. By the time I realize the knife is out, I've actually got stabbed probably 2 to 4 times. And only then it's going to kick in. Holy shit, I'm getting stabbed because I'm probably going to feel this pumping movement. Okay, I'm not going to feel the stab wounds. I'm just going to feel this. Okay, which probably means nobody punches like this. So it means I'm getting stabbed. Most of the people who get stabbed don't even know they're stabbed, even in the middle of a fight. One of my friends got stabbed in a street fight. He didn't know he got stabbed until he got in the car. We drove in the car only after he knew that because of adrenaline.
And that's very true. I had a case one time where it was a barbecue and there was an argument, and it was between husband and wife, and the husband was out at the grill drinking. There was about 30 people there, and the wife and him got in an argument. And you know the forks that you use to pick the steak off the grill? She was just, it wasn't a real fight. It was just like, get away from me. And she kind of jabbed him with it. He sat down in his chair, didn't even realize it, but it perfed him right in the heart. And he sat there and bled out. We get the call. No one's telling us anything. I walked by this guy like 4 times. I thought he was just sitting there. He had a beer sitting there with him. I thought he was just sitting there asleep. He was gone. She stabbed him. Didn't mean to. And it was a sad case because they fought like that all the time. It was just kind of one of those Sanford and Son type fights where you're just bickering back and forth, but you really love each other. And yeah, it was sad. And here, this should be eye-opening. I told Jeff, I said, this should be eye-opening. Let's find something kind of cool. So I want you to open your eyes, everyone. After you watch this stuff, open your eyes. Think about what people are saying about Dylan. Think about if she saw something, what she could potentially have been going through. And then if you opine that, she should have dialed 911, I don't know.
Actually, John,
That's
I think this proceeds at the what is it? It looks like maybe it's a deer leg or it's the
right.
Slices.
But I'm just saying, I'm just
I know that's
that
coming
everyone should be, after they watch this, their eyes should be opened. So here we go. Are you hearing it better now, Jeff?
It's a little better. Do you want me to try and play it from my side and see if it comes through?
I don't know if it's going to work any better doing it that way. I don't know why it's doing that.
You want to try 1 second? If it doesn't work, we can just go back to.
We can try it.
Let's see. QuickTime Player, share.
All right.
All right. Let's see.
Well, let's try it. I don't hear it at all.
You're not hearing it? Is anybody else hearing it in the chat?
I didn't hear it.
Huh.
All right, so I'm going to remove it.
Here, I've got it all the way up and that.
Yeah, and it's broke up. All right.
Not hearing
I'm going to remove it.
Hold on. No. Yeah. Oh, well. We'll have to figure that out.
Let's try that. Yeah. Growing pains, everybody. I'm sorry. But you don't have to have audio on all this stuff. So here we go. So what this is it's just showing what a 3-inch knife can do to somebody. And this is actually, it looks like a leg from a pig that he's holding up, simulating like it's an arm or something. It's on a stick. So watch what this small knife does to the flesh. Look at that. Look at that. How many times would somebody have to do that to you to incapacitate you? That's not even a stab wound. That's a laceration from a 3-inch knife. Not a K-bar knife. Not a knife this long. 3-inch knife. Y'all remember this lady, right? Little Miss Dainty, pretty Jodi Arias. Couldn't harm a fly, right? Read at the bottom of the screen. One person attacked a man 3 times her size with a knife. "27 times in under 3 minutes. 27 times she stabbed that man. How many times do you think she had to plunge that knife into him for him to be incapacitated? I don't know. She wasn't hurt. I would suspect probably the first time probably incapacitated him. I'll digress on that. So, I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Brian, because we were talking about, when I was describing what a K-bar knife is designed for and how the military is trained to use it. When you plunge the knife in, or any knife in combat, you plunge it in, you twist it, and you pull it back out, because it's inflicting far more damage if you twist it and turn it out and it come out in a different angle that it went in. You follow me? So if I just stuck it in and pulled it out, that's one incision. But if I stick it in, I turn it and I pull it out, creates a lot more carnage, a lot more damage to the flesh, a lot more blood loss. That's why you do that. So this is a scene, and I'm going to shout out to Brian, because when we were talking about that, Brian has family members that he says were actually, the movie Private Ryan was about brothers that were all enlisted at the same time. And I forget how many it was. You guys will probably correct me in here. I want to say 5 or 6, and 4 of them died, and there was 1 left, and that was Private Ryan. So the president got wind of this story, and he said, we can't let this entire family be lost. All these men, all these brothers, he's the last one. We got to find him. So Tom Hanks was assigned the task to go out and find him. They had no idea where he was. They knew what platoon he was in, but they didn't know where they were. It was chaos. This is during World War II. And they're fighting the Germans. And this scene, there's a sniper in a apartment complex, and he's hidden, and he's picking off all the American soldiers. Yeah, 1 sniper. So these guys have to find him. So they go into this building, and they figure out what room he's in, and they try to sneak in there and neutralize him. And the one soldier's kind of a coward. The other soldier goes in, and he finds him, and they get into a fight. And the German soldier pulls out a knife. It's the German version of a K-bar. I think it actually might be, there's a knife that goes bidet. It goes on the end of the rifle. It might even be that.
Bayonet.
Bayonet. What did I say? Bayonet. I said bayonet. it goes on the end of the rifle. It might be that, I can't really tell, or it might be a version close to the K-bar. But what he does here is, I want you to close your eyes after you watch this, if you can. I'm going to send out that alert again, but you need to close your eyes and just picture laying in bed and someone on top of you, just like this guy, with a huge knife in his hand, and you begging for your life or your friend's life. This is very compelling. And Brian, when I brought that up, he remembered this scene about simultaneously. Remembered it. I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to use it because it's great. So here we go.
Lass es uns beenden. Stop.
The soldier on the bottom kind of looks like Kohlberger. I had to put that out there, but it kind of does. But imagine this. Imagine the horror that these poor victims went through. And this could be how one of them actually lost their lives. Overpowered, man on top of you, her plunging that knife into a chest cavity or neck. Pretty compelling stuff, isn't it? All right. Now, for those that want to criticize Dylan for not calling 911, we don't know why. I'm sure it's going to come out. We'll figure it out. But this could be why. Just shock and fear. Just shock. I mean, it's not every day you see something like that. How does she know? If she turned around and went back in her room, how does she know that he's gone? There's been speculation that she was trying to call everybody. How does she know what's going on? We don't know. It's all going to come out, but we don't know now.
Yeah, we will eventually know. Yeah.
We will know. So I made this comparison in 2 of the Jaws movies. Here's one where Brody's on the beach patrolling, and then his son, Michael, is out in a boat with his friends, and they capsize. So what happens is there's a guy coming to help him, and as he's coming to help him, the shark attacks him. While Michael's in the water, he sees the shark coming at him, and he freezes. And then they pull him up on the shore, and he's in shock. He's almost catatonic because of what he just witnessed. I think this is relevant.
Not positive, but I think that's Richard Dreyfuss's son too. You can keep
What's
playing.
that?
I think that's
The
I
little boy.
believe that's Richard Dreyfuss's son plays the.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I have to look that up if that's if Michael Richard
the
drives
actor
his
has
son.
the. Yeah, it's the same. Shares the same last name, Dreyfuss. I'm assuming.
Oh well, I would assume, yeah, probably. So listen to what he says here.
He's dead. He's in shock.
What do you say? He's in shock. Is that what he said?
Said he's in shock.
Yeah.
Did you not hear it?
Well, I could hear the word shock, but I think that's I just want
Right.
to be sure everybody else.
If the audience didn't hear it because we're having sound issues, she said he's dead, and he said no, he's not. He's in shock, and he runs and grabs a blanket to cover him up. Of course.
I don't know about you, but that movie scared me when I was a kid.
Well, I'll tell you, no one does it better than Steven Spielberg, does it? I mean, that's great. I mean, it was a riveting movie back in the day, and I love the way that it was filmed. I love everything about the movies, both of them. This one is what we talked about earlier. This is from Jaws 2, and he's looking for the kids, and he comes across one of the boats that appears to be abandoned, but it's really not. But this is what I said in the very beginning of all this, when everyone was criticizing, criticizing anybody that would be a witness at all for not calling 911. We don't know. I'm just speculating, but these are things that people need to think about. You're not talking about kids here that were brought up seeing this type of stuff. Most of these kids were pretty well off. They probably lived really sheltered lives. Their parents made sure that they weren't exposed to anything bad. I'm just putting that out there. Now, there are kids that are exposed to some things that are bad, that aren't as fortunate, that may not have been as shocked to see something like this. But I tell you, I find it hard to believe that a 20-year-old young lady, if she saw something, wouldn't be in fear and wouldn't curl up in a little ball like this girl does. Just totally freaked out. Again, speculating, but watch this. I think it's going to put this up on there.
I got it, Chief.
Sorry.
down.
Tina! Tina! Tina, it's okay. It's still there. What's in it? What's in it?
And she yells shark, right? That it's amazing. We heard everything up to the word shark, and then it was silent when she says shark.
No one heard her scream shark?
No, at least on my end, I heard everything.
I don't know what's going on. I hear it perfectly fine. So I'm sorry, everyone, for losing that. But, 90% of our viewers have seen that. So they know what she screamed. But we know what it was all about. So frozen shock phase. This is the funny part I was telling you about. So Jeff and I were talking, and Jeff's like in his backyard, and he's like, Nanook's his dog. And if you guys watched The Lost Boys, the dog in The Lost Boys was named Nanook.
Yeah, that's where Nanook gets his name.
I can hear Corey Haim screaming, Nanook, Nanook, when the vampires are coming. So Jeff, I caught that immediately, and Jeff's like, Nanook's got a turtle. So he turns his phone around and he shows us, right? And then we're like, that's like shock. That's shock phase right there. The turtle's, he's clammed up inside of his shell.
Right.
He's hiding out. He's in shock. So it's pretty funny. We thought it was funny, and Jeff put this in here.
Actually, so curious. This is a new video. This is another. Might be the same turtle, but it's a different day.
Strongest desire was to flee and hide. So when Jeff was telling us about that, when we're talking, we got to use that in the show, man. That's great. We got to use that. So Jeff's like, what do turtles eat? We're like, lettuce, got some grapes, something like that. Turtle wasn't interested in anything but getting away.
Nanook's a co-producer, right, as well. He knew
right.
He knew we needed material, right? He said, I got you covered.
So everyone put your hands together. That was awesome. Jeff and I put that together. And I think it's pretty compelling. I don't know what was going through anyone's mind in that house that was living. I have no idea. We don't know. We don't know what they heard
or smelled.
We don't know what Dylan heard. We don't know what they saw. We don't know what they smelled. We don't know anything. We don't know what Bethany heard, saw. We don't know anything. There's a gag order. But to criticize this young lady for not calling 911 is obscene to me. And you know what? Would it have made any difference? Would it have changed the outcome? Maybe they would have been able to secure a perimeter quicker, and maybe they would have caught him quicker, but would have changed the outcome? I think not. But you know what? People will spew this hatred and these nasty, vile things, wanting her charged with failure to render aid. Are you kidding me?
Hey, John, how big of a perimeter would they have put around there? And could that explain why he went so far south when he,
Well,
maybe
first of all,
avoid
you're
the
talking about
perimeter?
Moscow PD. It's not like they're equipped to set up a huge perimeter. I think we looked it up. They were like, how many sworn? 21 sworn or something like that. Not very many. And, this is a small town. They were not equipped to handle something like this. So setting up a perimeter of that magnitude, they would have immediately had to solicit for mutual aid from the county. And then we know that the state came in, but that all takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So, they would have secured, I would have done a 4 or 5 block radius at least, and then start door knocking, start canvassing immediately, start looking for, and you have people saying they weren't doing that. They're obviously doing that. And we're going to find when this trial comes out, there's going to be so much video evidence, people, it's going to blow your minds. So all these people that are suggesting that, this case is lost, there's nothing to this case, they're going by the PCA. The PCA is nothing. The only reason that PCA has any relevance or has had any relevance was to get him extradited back to Idaho. That PCA actually had more in it than it needed to have in it. PCAs are just probable cause affidavits, and all they have to do is include the elements of the crime and the reasons why you think the perpetrator did it. That's it. You don't need to have all this other stuff in it. They don't need to have all this other evidence in it. That's for the incident reports. All the other stuff that comes after the PCA. PCA is just a tool, a document that is used to hold somebody for a crime, and it's probable cause affidavit is exactly what it means. You don't have to have all the facts in there. So people that are saying, well, that's all they got, that's that's not, no, that's of course that's not enough. It's just a PCA affidavit. There's way more, everyone. This case is going to be like the Murdoch case. The digital footprint here is going to be astronomical. It's going to put him there. It's going to put him within feet. I promise you.
Hey, John, what do you think of? Did you see Melissa French's question? You might have to scroll back a little bit to like 1024.
Let me look. Melissa French.
Every time I see the name Valen, I think, is that like short for Van Halen?
Hey guys, I have a question because Bethany had no words in the PCA legally.
So it's it's kind of the non-mentioning of Bethany in the PCA.
Because she had nothing to offer.
They just didn't need it. It was unnecessary.
She probably had nothing to offer. If she was a material witness and she had something to offer, they would have probably included it in the PCA. But if she was asleep, she was asleep. She didn't hear anything. She didn't hear anything. And who's to say, my girlfriend could sleep through a freight train driving by her. She wouldn't hear somebody being, stabbed, screaming. She wouldn't hear it. She has to put the alarm right next to her head to wake her up. And it'll go off for 2 hours sometimes, and she still won't wake up.
Yeah, I had a friend in high school. He would take a guitar amplifier, hook a microphone into it, and put the microphone in the back of the amp and turn it all the way up so it would feedback.
Yeah,
and
the vibration
it would take him a
up.
good 15 minutes to finally wake up.
Me, a pin drops, I'm awake.
Yeah, I'm a light sleeper too.
So anyone after watching what we've watched that would actually think that a single person couldn't do this act, Danny Rawling, right here in Florida, Gainesville slasher. He killed 5 with a K-bar knife. 5. He decapitated one and took her head and put it on a shelf so that when you opened the door, you walked in, you saw the body sitting there and the head was on the shelf. One man, 5 people. And there was more after that in Louisiana that they found. So
yeah,
why
that element of
would
surprise and not expecting. I mean, like that guy was saying, you don't even know what's going on for you. You've already been hit 4 or 5 times, and before you realize. I remember in the beginning of this case, John, when we didn't know much, I thought it's at night. I remember I had a theory that maybe he used night vision goggles, so that with a light, so he could see, but they couldn't, but it was all tied into that element of surprise. Because especially in a college house, you're like, oh, who's joking around with the light? And then next thing you know, it's no joke.
Well, if the incidents and the supplemental reports were written well, at the time that the first responders got there, they should note, was there lights on? Was there lighting on the outside? They would note all this stuff in the report. So when they walked in, were there lights on in the kitchen? Were there lights on in the bedrooms? Were there lights on anywhere? Was it pitch dark?
Right.
Right now, we don't know any of that stuff. So at the point that Dylan came to the door and, allegedly saw him walk by, was it totally pitch dark? He's dressed in all black. Did she catch the silhouette of him walking by and see his bushy eyebrows? We don't know any of this. What I will tell you is the surprising thing to me, and I'll give kudos to all the agencies involved, keeping a tight lip on this and nothing leaking out is absolutely amazing to me. Because a case of this magnitude, with all the agencies and all the personnel involved in investigating this case, for nothing of substance to really leak out, that just shows the integrity of all involved. Because I tell you, that stuff, reporters pay good money. They have snitches within the departments that'll give them information if they pay them. It's well known. It's well known.
I think I agree with Alexandra. She said, kids leave lights on. There's possibility some lights were on, but I really think that good vibes light is probably the kind of light that just stays on all the time. And the position of that light, I think, was perfect to light up his face as he was exiting.
And neon lights they're like LED lights. They cascade a ton of ambience throughout the house or whatever they're doing. That's why businesses use them. They're I believe they're gas or something inside, but anyway,
tubes. Yeah.
So anyone that would slam Dylan for not calling 911, I got a problem with that, because you don't know what she saw, you don't know what she heard, you don't know anything. And really, is it worth it? Because I don't think it would have changed the end result at all.
Yeah, so I think it'll be one of those things where we will talk about it for a 1.5 million hours, speculating, pontificating, and then she'll probably answer the question on the stand in like 15 seconds, and then we'll all go.
We'll be like I said, we'll be like, oh,
okay. Now
it's going to be a nothing burger. So I want to show everybody something, and I figured the best thing that I could do is just, I don't have, not everybody's got a K-bar knife, but they do have, your basic utensils. So I want to show somebody. This is a 3-inch, just a typical steak knife. 3 inches, about as big as my finger there. This right here could end your life. very easily. That guy wielding that knife that was cutting that the leg of the looked like a pig. This is the size knife he had in his hand. They're easy to wield. See this? Spin it around. Bam.
That's
3
less than
inches.
half of less than half the length of the K-bar, right? K-bar 7.
I still want to say it was 9, but I think we went through this a long time ago. But they make a 7 and a 9, and I thought it was a 9, but I could be wrong. It's been so long since we talked about the size of the knife. This is a 6-inch knife. 6-inch knife. This could very easily end your life. And you know what? I'm 5'11", 220 pounds. I'm going to go to the broadest part of my body. You'd think it might be my gut, but I'm sucking that in. We're going to go to the barrel chest.
We all see you sucking it in. Come on now.
So we're going to stick it under here just to give you perspective. That's a 6-inch knife. I'm not a small, tiny 110-pound lady. Look at that. One plunge. Do you think that would incapacitate me if somebody stuck that in my chest? Think I'd be able to fight back? Just one time. 6 inches.
Right.
Now, as Crocodile Dundee would say, that's a knife. Here's a 9-inch knife.
It's frightening. Really frightening.
Take this knife. You apply a little pressure. You push in. You skate back. Johnny's head is no longer attached to his torso. This knife will do the same thing. Again, I'm a pretty broad dude. We're not talking about a guy my size. Ethan was thin and ripped. This would go through and through. No problem. People are saying, oh, it's a cheap knife. It would have broke. No, it wouldn't have. It's a K-bar knife. Even if it's a knockoff, it's not going to break. If it hits some bone, the tip might break off. Oh, it would have dulled up. No, it wouldn't have. Common sense. Now, the attorneys aren't going to be saying, hey, ladies and members of the jury, just use your common sense. I can't do that. That's a no-no. I guarantee you that they will. I'm hoping and praying that they will. I'm not going to convict him on common sense alone, but the culmination of the evidence should leave no doubt that when they paint this picture, they had that car with no license plate. Don't forget, that Elantra had no license plate. The video shows no license plate on the front. And what didn't Brian Kohlberger's car have? No license plate. And what is the law in Washington and Idaho? You got to have a license plate on the front of the car. Why didn't he have it? Because he relocated from Pennsylvania. Does Pennsylvania have a law that you have to have a license plate on the front of the car? No. So what did he do right after these homicides? He went and got the registration changed and put a license plate on the front of his car. Imagine that. That's convenient, isn't it? Common sense.
Also, too, John, that's it's not like in Pennsylvania that you can get to license plates if you want, right? Everybody just gets one. Isn't that correct?
Right. It's like in Florida,
Yeah,
we only get one.
Yeah.
We have one license plate on the back. We don't have it on the front.
Yeah.
A lot of your I think California, you got to have it up front. There's a lot of states that you do. I mean, that's redundant. shouldn't have to do that. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
going to
definitely
help
going to be
anything.
telling, that especially on that light bulb camera that catches king and queen intersection. That
That light bulb
and
camera.
if
Go
you
ahead,
look
Jim.
at those they leaked that one still picture from the light bulb camera at 1:56 a.m. If you look at the license plates on the cars that are parked there, license plates, I mean, they glow of, using that whatever that night mode that the camera goes into. So
Right.
the fact he's got no license plate, he's going to be lacking a rectangular glow that all other cars have.
Yeah, and so here's something to think about too. Why did the defense want more time? Why do you think they wanted more time? I'll tell you why. Because they're waiting on that FBI task report, or waiting on it. They're waiting on that report, that cast report, that's going to tell them exactly where he was. Because that cast report, basically, for those who don't know, that basically is like Find My iPhone. It'll tell you where he was within feet. But they don't want to give up that alibi because they don't know what the cast report says. So if they can get more time, think about this, everyone. They can get more time for that cast report to come out, and the defense can read that cast report, then they can build their alibi around what that cast report says. No one's mentioned that. That's the truth.
Right.
That's why they stalled for time. And that cast report has a lot of eyes on it right now. A lot of investigators were involved in that. It's not something easy to put together. Every I will be dotted, T will be crossed. It's gonna paint a picture. The Murdaugh case, if no one's watched that, the single most impressive case I've ever seen in my life. Amazing what that digital footprint will prove. So I don't believe that anyone should feel like it's impossible for one person to have wielded a K-bar knife and taken the lives of 4 people that night, that morning. And if you do feel that way, then you're naive. Extremely naive. Go grab a knife now. I'm not saying stab him, but just go grab it. Grab the biggest knife in your drawer. Just imagine somebody plunging that knife into you. Or you having to defend someone that's having a knife plunged into them. Like potentially Kelley or Maddie was trying to do. We don't know. Speculation. But you remember Kelley's dad said she got the worst of it, basically, is what he said. Maybe it's because she wasn't as inebriated as Maddie. Maybe it's because she was putting up a fight. Maybe Maddie was the target. Maybe not. Maybe Kelley was the target. We don't know.
John, this might be why I lean towards Kelley being in the other room with the dog. Because I think, I just imagine to myself that maybe the dog alerted her to something happening in Maddie's room. And she went over, said, I think there's somebody here. And then I think if it was me and I saw somebody doing that to my best friend that I've known since we were yay high, oh my gosh, that guy is going to get, a fight.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's like, does that mean that she would have left the room, closed the door to keep the dog out of whatever chaos was going on? That explained why the dog was in a room kind of isolated from everything.
Yeah, I don't know. We're never going to know that answer unless he tells us, and he's not going to tell us.
Right.
We're never going to know. I don't know. I don't know that there's a way that they're going to be able to prove anything different. But they will be able to prove this. They'll be able to prove who was attacked first, because there will be DNA transfer. So if Kelley was attacked first and she was stabbed first, then Kelley's DNA will be inside of Maddie's,
Right.
body. So
each subsequent victim.
If he was on the bed and he was flailing back and forth and stabbing both of them, then it's going to be kind of impossible to determine that. But if we go downstairs and we look at the other victims and we determine that the girl's DNA was not in their wounds, then what's that tell you? That they were targeted first. They were killed first.
Right.
But if Kelley and Maddie's DNA was in Xana and Ethan's bodies in the wounds, then we know that they were killed last. So there's a lot that we can speculate on. And in the beginning of this case, we just went after the usual suspects. The ex-boyfriend, of course he's going to be a suspect. Of course Jack's going to be a suspect. Of course the other Jack's going to be a suspect because I got pictures of him and he's part of the group. I got a picture of him, with a hunting knife, cleaning out one of his kills. Then you got Jack. Then you got, got a bartender. You got all these people that could be involved. And what we were trying to figure out is, okay, well, if it is Jack, what's his motive? What would be his motive? He's the ex-boyfriend. That's a pretty good motive. So everybody was on Jack. Then they went on the other Jack. Then, but at the point that we got a suspect, pretty viable suspect, that should have went out the window because no one else is sitting in a 6x9 right now. Kohlberger's sitting in a 6x9. And why? Because in my opinion, they got their man. It's going to be a strong case. And for these other creators to say some of the things they say, I honestly think that they just do it for attention. Let's see what outlandish theory we can come out with so we can get attention. And then other people can jump on board. We can get clicks and we can make money and we can say all these horrendous things about these victims. It's insane to me. Pisses me off that they're actually allowed to do that because, we do live in America. Because they can say allegedly in front of whatever they say, then it's okay. It's kind of like that reporter. It says a source told me. I don't think that should be allowed either. You better be able to produce your source, your receipt. That person needs to be interviewed. You shouldn't be able to just spew this stuff with no consequence.
What's it like when there is no gag order? I haven't followed enough cases to know. Like
then you would be allowed to see certain reports, redacted, of course, but you would be allowed to see a lot of the reports. Now, you're not going to be able to see things that are going to cause a suppression hearing to take place, but more details would come out. More interviews would take place. But there's a gag order. So none of that's happening and none of that's going to happen. And, whether you agree with the gag order or not, it certainly has protected the integrity of this case. And the negative effect that it's had is we're having this conversation right now about other creators making stuff up that, had there not been a gag order, would probably been put to bed months ago.
Right.
That's the disadvantage of the gag order. But because of the extreme horrific nature of this case, and I've always said from the very beginning, if someone would have walked into that house with a Glock 45 or a 9 or whatever, and Signal 5, when you hear me say Signal 5, because down here Signal 5 means homicide. So, and Signal 5, those people, we wouldn't even be talking about this case because we've become so desensitized to weapons guns, that's not that uncommon for somebody to walk in and shoot 5 people.
Right.
But it is uncommon for somebody to be as brazen and personal, because it's personal to take a knife and perpetrate such an act on someone. That's personal. That's in your face. You got to actually put your, you're not a coward standing back 5, 10, 15 feet and pulling a trigger.
Right.
You're up in your face. You're in close quarter combat. You're physically throwing these girls around and Ethan around while wielding a knife. Your adrenaline's pumping. Remember when he was plunging that knife into those cans? Did you see the adrenaline? Did you see what he did? There's hatred here. There's something here that we don't know about. Now, is it a person that's been picked on his whole life because he was heavy set and he was out of shape, or, never was able to get that girl that he wanted? He took steps. He went on a diet. He became a vegetarian. Lost 100 and something pounds. Started working out. Started doing kickboxing. Something changed. But also, we need to remember what he did at one time. Worked in a fish market. We had to clean fish. And he had to use a knife. Clean fish. Probably about this size. Guess what he couldn't do? He couldn't hold that job. He couldn't even clean fish. He got fired. Do you think a man of his purported intelligence would not be affected by that? Do you think that he might not have been scolded by maybe his dad? I'm just guessing. You can't even hold down a job as a filleting fish. You can't even wield a knife well enough to keep a job cutting fish up.
Right. And I think, didn't that the guy that ran that business, was there some comment where it was his interacting with people, customers, that was an issue too, that
Yeah, it was a social thing. He
Yeah.
was, I don't know Brian. I don't know that he was fired because he couldn't wield a knife. But bottom line is, you lost your job as a person that cleans fish.
Right.
Is there relevance there? I don't know. Also, we need to look at a couple other things. So his own sister, which I think we may find out in the wash, may have actually turned him in, because this is nationwide, worldwide coverage. Everybody's looking for a white Elantra. What does my brother drive? Drives a white Elantra. Where does he live? 8 miles. 8 miles away from that university. Drives a white Elantra. He's a little weird. He's got a problem with drugs. He's got a problem with drugs so much that he stole my phone. And his own father had him arrested and charged for stealing his sister's phone. He went and pawned it. Got money for some dope. So that's kind of telling right there, when your own father turns you in for stealing your sister's cell phone. Is that telling you guys that there was some turmoil in that household? Is that telling you guys that there's probably a major issue with drugs? Something was going on. Testimony was from witnesses that he was addicted to heroin. He was put into a diversion program for that. Then everything was okay. He winds up going to sales university and off he goes. And here we are. We don't know. I don't know what the mindset of Brian Kohlberger is. Don't know him. Don't know if he's an introvert or extrovert. Seems to me like he's extremely introverted, just from what I've heard. His own dad tries to get friends for him. But what I do know for a fact, I bet everything I have on it, one man could do this. 10-year-old could do that much damage. So to those who still think that that's not a possibility, oh, it's impossible. There's no way that it could have, in the time frame too. Oh, there's no way that they could have done it in that little amount of time. Yeah, very possible. Again, ambush, inebriated, caught by surprise, 4 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely, 100% could have been done by one person. So what I want to do is I want to open up the phone lines for a little bit. Well, let's take some calls. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Let's take some calls. And I really appreciate everybody being here. And I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, but I put it out there and I was, kind of ignored. But we don't have that problem now, do we, Jeff? This is our show.
You got phone numbers up on there.
Yeah, get that up. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this number on the bottom of the screen here. In the meantime, I'm going to say it. 386-287-1997. That's 386-287-1997. As soon as we get this rolling here. Sorry, guys. It's just something that I've got to get. We got to get acclimated to doing all the time.
Birthing pains.
You got it? What's wrong? We good? All right. So the lines are open. Feel free to call in, ask questions, make statements, whatever you want to do. 386-287-1997.
Also, too, John, I put I got what is it, backstage or whatever. I put the photo from 156, the light bulb camera. I don't know if you want to show that while we wait for a call to come in.
Holy cow, look at all the... All right. So this picture is a light bulb camera, and you can see the pumpkins across the top of this banister right here. So,
but those license plates really catch my eye. That a car without a license plate, it's going to be very clear that there's no front.
Linda.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, Linda. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, splendid. Sorry about the technical stuff, but we'll get that worked out.
No, it's all good.
So what you got?
I have TV on and computer because I didn't know how to do this. So I'm live with Detective John, am I?
You are.
Hi, Linda.
Okay, cool. Good show.
You got Jeff and myself. Floor is yours.
Hi, Jeff and yourself. Like you both. I'm glad you came out with your own content.
Oh, thank you.
I had a scenario, and I know it might sound kind of stupid, but suppose BK made his rounds, and parked up let me turn this. I gotta turn you down because I'm having trouble. Anyway, he's admitted to driving around. So if he admits to voyeurism up behind the house and says, I have watched the girls in the past. I've been up there. I go up there. I admit it. And then he says on that particular night, he was up in the woods watching, and he saw some weirdo either going in or out, whatever time it was. And it really spooked him. And he ran back to his car, and his knife and his sheaths were gone. And I'm saying that as in if there was absolutely none of his DNA in that house, if he could get away with something like that. Saying that, you know, and you're a detective, so you would know if that's a possibility, that he just got freaked out and ran back to his car, and his knife and his sheaths were gone.
Well, Linda, anything's possible. Is it probable?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not probable.
If there's none of his DNA in that house,
absolutely 100%
other
possible.
than the sheath?
Absolutely 100%. I've worked many cases where I've gotten no DNA with less evidence than this and gotten convictions. So you got to think about something here. If this was a premeditated act, he's going to take every step that he can to not leave DNA.
Uh-huh.
He's also going to school for this. So he knows all about crime scenes. He knows everything. And you got to remember too, it was 28 degrees. So he's already bundled up. He's already got tons of clothes on. So whether or not he left transfer DNA or any kind of DNA, it's highly possible that he didn't leave any DNA. Is it probable? No. But you're going on the fact that you haven't heard that they got any other DNA, and we don't know that, Linda. And here's what people are saying. Oh, there's no DNA and there's no bloody footprints and there's no how does anyone know this? I mean,
I don't think the state of Idaho is going to put a death penalty on a knife sheath. I'm sure they have.
They have way more. You're absolutely right. So
but
let's talk about the knife sheath. Okay,
just the possibility of how it got there, how he could say it got there, that he got freaked out, saw this guy either coming in or going out, and he ran back to his car, and his knife sheath and his knife were gone.
Yeah, well, you know, he's got to buy
out of the car.
You have 12 jurors buy that.
Also, too, doesn't we're already, everybody's asking the questions. Why didn't Dylan do something for 8 hours?
And heard that
she can't hear me.
And there's no other DNA in that house. I would certainly think it was a possibility that's how the knife and the sheath got in the house. Well, and then on the probable cause to have a third knife with no description, could that be the murder weapon?
Well, I brought that up in the very beginning when I first saw that. No one else was catching it. Why would you list one knife with a long line after it? Makes no sense to me. Now, this is in the Pennsylvania SW. SW means search warrant, by the way. So they list. So you go, you execute a search warrant on a Signal 5 homicide, and the number one thing that you're looking for is evidence of the crime. You're looking for the weapon used in that crime. And the first thing listed, and now I could be wrong, but the first thing listed on that evidence report, on that receipt for the search warrant, is one knife with no description. Yet on down, there's a pocket knife listed with a description. Everything else has got a description. But why would they list one knife with no description? Makes no sense to me. Now, there's what's called supplemental reports. So they could add tunnel vision. They found that knife. Oh my God, we got to document that. This is great. This is what we're looking for. And there's probably a supplemental report to that knife being submitted to the lab. There's a gag order we don't know about. I'm just speculating. If that's the case, then they wouldn't be very descriptive of that knife. You know why? Because here we'd be talking about it and he'd automatically be guilty, right? So we don't know why they did that, but I found it highly suspect that they're going to list one knife with no description as the number one item on that search warrant receipt from PA. Weird to me. Could be nothing.
And before,
could be a butter knife. I don't know.
Right. But they would have put butter knife probably.
They wouldn't have tagged a butter knife unless it had, you know, a red substance
But before,
on it.
when they said
They tagged the pizza cutter because it had a red substance on it. Well, we know that was probably marinara sauce, but they tagged it. So
when it first came out and they said they didn't have a murder weapon, and then the pizza came out after that, so it very well could be the murder weapon now.
Could be.
You know, I have a feeling he probably buried it, but you know he probably kept it at least.
We don't know what he did with it. We may never know.
No.
You know, it's, you know, and
Well,
for anyone to suggest that he's going to plea and that the state's going to take a plea if he tells what happened, I don't care.
No,
I don't
they
care
don't
why
want
you
to.
did it. I don't care why you did it, Brian. You're
And
going
on
to
the
pay.
computer,
And if the state
I
allows
put,
him to plea because they want to know the story, then they're cowards. And I don't think
no,
that'll
they
go well.
want him to go up by. If he did this, he shouldn't be amongst us. But on the computer, I was chatting, and
Absolutely.
the guy that redid the OJ scene, it took 30 seconds to knife Ron and Nicole. That's 2 people in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you figure a minute for 4 people.
Definitely plausible.
Yep.
Look at the thumbnail.
So I watched that.
If anybody looked at the thumbnail that Jeff and I put together, that's why I said definitely plausible on there. I wanted Jeff to put that on there. I wanted Jeff did some pretty cool stuff too. The driveway going up from the house was actually, if you look at it, it's the knife sheath.
And the car flashing and stuff. And
Yeah.
then I watched your first 2 with the T Rev, and has he even been back on the air since the falling out?
Right.
T Rev.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the Napoleon. I don't care what he does. I don't care what he does from now on. I don't care. He posts his psychotropic drugs that he's taking now. I don't care. Trying to drum up sympathy. Why would you do that? Why would you post that? But I don't want to talk about that little jerk. So we're moving on. We're doing our show, and he can go bye-bye and do whatever he wants to do. But we're done with that.
Hey, John, I put that thumbnail up if you want to look at it.
And they said that the guy that reenacted it said that he got both of those guys in 30 seconds, Nicole and Ron, in 30 seconds. That is just, of course, he was making a movie on knifing anyway when that was going on. But, you know, I just.
Oh, did we lose her? She's still on the phone?
Yeah, but if I put anything up, Jeff, then it mutes out the phone call.
Oh, okay.
No. These are things we're gonna have to work out.
We'll
but
work
Linda, I appreciate you calling in. I want to take another call, and I look forward to having you as a longtime member on and chat and on the show. And you feel free to call in anytime. Okay.
All right.
Where are you calling from, by the way?
Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, Washington. So.
Yep.
You're a little vested here, aren't you?
Yeah, every night. My stepmom lived in Moscow and Uniontown, and they take it to heart. As far as they're concerned, they got their guy. So people that are, saying that he's framed and this or innocent. I know he's presumed innocent, but to go to that town and be like that, they're not going to be happy.
No, and you know what? I had mixed feelings on the house being torn down. With 3D imaging, and you know what? My mods provided some pretty cool stuff with 3D imaging that I asked for, and I didn't bring it onto the show. But if you saw it, you would understand why they don't need that house anymore. That house is nothing but a shell.
No,
let them.
They
need to tear that house down. I know the family wants it up. They need to tear it down and let this community heal, because that's a sore thumb sticking out there, and it's a bad memory. It's a bad omen. Knock it down and use the 3D imaging in the video, and it's very, very compelling. It's like you're there. You know, you're not
I
going to do
suppose
anything
maybe
now with
like
that house. That house has been cleaned out. You walk in there now, it's not going to sound the same. There's no furniture in there. It's not going to smell the same. It's ready to be torn
maybe
down. So tear it
the
down.
amount of feet like Dylan was from the bushy eyebrow guy, you know, maybe something like that. But all in all, I totally agree. It's just bad.
That's not going to be
But
compelling.
and that's the last place their babies were. You know, I
Right.
understand that part, but yeah, community needs to heal. Moscow is not very big, and it's a beautiful town, but they think they got their guys. So
Yes, ma'am.
they need to close this up. You know.
All righty. Well, you have a great night. Thank you for calling in. God bless
Okay,
you.
it's good to
And
talk to you.
look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you on the show. What are
Thanks,
you
Linda.
in
You
chat
bet.
real quick? What's your name in chat?
Just my Gmail.
Okay.
I don't know how to work chat. I've just been scrolling with people, and they're saying OJ's son did it, and he didn't do it, and all this stuff.
There's
People are wacky.
People are
you
just
know?
trying to be funny, being sarcastic.
Yeah,
But I
they're funny,
appreciate
all
you. You
right.
have a great night. All right.
Bye. You bet. Good luck
Bye-bye.
with your show. I think it's one.
All
Bye,
right.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
386-287-1997. Lines are coming back open.
You know, John, in
Bring
the Jodi Arias, I was looking for photos earlier. They showed like man, they cut so many pieces of the wall out. They cut the floor. I think you know, I imagine the inside of that house is just a mess, you know, to try
Well,
and
you got to figure the car too. So anything that any stains that they saw on the seats, anything like that, we would remove. You know, we would cut chunks out of
Right.
it, big squares, and submit
Right,
it. So I'm sure that car looks like it's been hacked up pretty good too. So the lines are open. 386-287-1997. 386-287-1997. Come on. What's that? Guys, we're at 400 subscribers. That's amazing. 6 away from 400 subscribers. So please hit the like and subscribe button as well. If we've got this many people in on the show right now, I would like to see the like. You know, the like, if no one knows where it is, it's that little thumb down on the bottom of the screen down there. Click that and subscribe if you haven't. It helps with the algorithm. It helps get the show out there. This is our first official show. And we really want to get that out there and get this thing up and rolling so we can continue to bring you some great content and talk about other cases. We're not just going to talk about this case, everyone. We're not going to stay on this case because you know what, this case to me, you know, it's like kicking a dead horse. You know, we've been up and down this road so many times. I wanted to give my perspective on certain things. And I'm, you know, definitely trying to move in a different directions. Let me see what are you saying about mental health? I never said anything about mental health. I've got a very close family member that has mental health. So don't say I'm kicking anybody below the belt. That's ridiculous. No one turned on me for saying anything about mental health. What did I say about mental health? I want you to articulate what I said about mental health that was negative. Other than the fact, why would somebody post their medication up for everyone to see? I could tell you why, so they could strum up sympathy. There's no reason for that. So take that for what it's worth. But I'm very offended at anyone that would say I would question anyone's mental health. Take that somewhere else. So I'm going to say it like it is, everyone. If you don't like it, then go to another show. But don't come in here and try and lay this suggestion that I am again, you know, I'm picking on anyone with mental health issues. I just simply said, why would you post your medication for everyone to see unless you're trying to strum up sympathy? I'm real. I'm going to tell it like it is. So we're going to open the lines back up. 386-287-1997. 386-287-1997. So feel free to call in. How long have we been on now? We've been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes and 13 seconds. Wow, we got a lot of comments in here, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not as efficient as some professionals are that sit and do this all day long. But
You
I'll
really
get
gotta be a
better.
speed reader.
Yeah. So, yeah, my
What
my
was the
son,
last caller was talking about the scenario about BK being up in the woods watching and seeing the like that it was another person that did this. Well, doesn't the first thing that came to my mind is then we were already asking Dylan or the survivors, what's up with that 8 hours that you waited?
right.
But they don't know anything about crimes like this. So wouldn't that be the same question we'd be asking BK? It's like, what?
Right.
What's your excuse for your 8 hours? And
Right.
you should know better. You have experience in this. You should have been one of the first ones.
Is that the best you got?
What to do.
Is that the best you got? You're out driving around. You know what? I can't even believe that the defense allowed that. We get an incoming call. What does that say? So I can't even believe. So here's what I would have had him say. This is what I would have had him say. So I'm not thinking Ann Taylor's that bright, to be honest with you. I would have just said, hey, my client, he wasn't arrested until a month and a half after this happened. He doesn't remember where he was that night. He doesn't recall. You can't say I don't remember, because if you don't remember, you don't remember. But you can always say I don't recall, because you might recall later.
Right.
It's a little trick in the legal arena. So when you go into a deposition and you got an attorney trying to trip you up, I don't recall. They hate that, because they know that maybe you'll go talk to somebody and then you'll get your memory refreshed and then you'll recall. Then you'll remember. But never say I don't remember, because you could be impeached. So if she was smart, if she was as smart as everybody says she is, she would have never allowed that. She would have said, hey, he doesn't recall where he was. And then based on cast report, we could put together where he wasn't, where we knew he wasn't. But you never say I don't remember. You always say I don't recall.
Do you think
But no, what does he say? He says he's out driving. Just silly to me.
Do you think Brian is calling a lot of the shots? I
think he's probably. I think she probably can't stand him, because I think he's probably pretty arrogant and he thinks he knows it all. But he's fighting for his life. This is a death penalty case. Certainly, he's going to be fighting 100%. We're good to go.
Call from
Joanne.
To accept.
Hello, Joanne.
Hi, how are you?
Splendid. How are you?
Good.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
I'm in Daytona Beach area, Port Orange, actually.
Nice. I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, I go over there. I was just there a couple weeks ago playing ball. We go to Lakeland a lot. Go over there and play. So
nice.
I love Tampa. So
well, I love the area. It's been super hot though.
This is the hottest it's ever been in Florida. We've had, I was up 5:30 this morning. My guys are out there working. It's 115 index. I'm lucky if I can get noon out of my guys, and they're about ready to drop dead.
Yeah,
but we do have. I live 5 minutes from the
minutes.
ocean, so we can always go take a dip.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, I take care of my dad. He's sick, so I don't get out much, but it's okay.
So what do
mainly I stay around the house.
What do you think?
Okay, so I wanted to. Well, I think Brian Kohlberg is so guilty. It's not even funny. And I definitely think that when people bring up the conspiracy stuff, it really bothers me. It gets to the core of it, because they're not even willing most of the time to look at kind of all the pieces. And I think it's really dismissive of the prosecution, because I definitely think the police really hard on it, because it was important. And I think all that stuff diminishes the lives of these kids, and how horrible this crime was. But I listen to a podcast all the time. It's my favorite, called The Prosecutors. Have you ever heard of The Prosecutors podcast?
No, I haven't.
It's incredible. And it's just two, they are actually real life prosecutors. And mainly they just tell stories of, old crimes, but they do some lives on YouTube. And it's interesting, last night's live, was on this case, and how they talked about, the motions that are being put forward by Ian Taylor, the insanity of it. And basically they said a bunch of them are actually going to end up being sanctionable if she doesn't slow her roll. And they talked a lot about, integrity in the courtroom. So, basically you can file any motion you want, but it's really important to maintain your integrity, which some of them are not. And they did a whole big segment on the DNA, which was incredible. So, I mean, I'd say to people, like, take a look at it. It's worth a look, because it's very interesting to see the other side of these things.
I wrote it down.
I love to hear podcasts with police officers. I love to hear podcasts with prosecutors,
Right.
like people who go through these things and actually really know what's going on, versus just making stuff up.
Well, you make a valid point, and the prosecutors are saying that are absolutely 100% right. It's about integrity. And Ann Taylor, in that motion where she said she played on words, everyone. She played on words. She said that knife sheath was placed. Remember, she used the word placed on that bed?
I do.
It was placed there. She was admonished for that. I guarantee you. She can't.
Oh, no doubt about it. And
she can't say stuff like
one
that.
One of the things they said, though, was that they said that, that sometimes as prosecutors, that, it's very rare that you would get a defendant who has pushed the envelope this far. And they believe that's part of his psychological game here. And they said, like their defense, is sort of forced to bring the best to the table for their job.
Right.
But they said that, sometimes, usually they'll do this stuff in order to get the trust of the client, so that he will begin talking about a deal. And how they believe that he never will do that, no matter what. It was fascinating, because it really does sound exactly like this game here he's playing.
I think you might be muted, John.
Oh, no, that's okay. But I recommend it. I recommend taking a listen, because it's really interesting. And I think it sort of rounds the gap on all of the noise that's out there. It really just kind of brings all the things that, like, and what seems to be true, and shows you why it really is.
Well, it's
Which is cool.
That's what I try to do, and some of the comments that I've made have always been trying to help people understand the process. And
oh, absolutely. I heard you on LCL,
and
it was like my favorite interview ever.
Oh, thank you very much.
It was like, it was so great, because, you just kind of stuck to your conviction, and there was all this, pushback, all this stupid shit. And, you just held firm to it, and you were direct.
I came to the decision that, do you want me to act like a cop? I mean, I could sit here in a suit and act like I'm on a stand and act like a cop. Or do you want me to be real with you and not be kind of a condescending person? You want me to just, kind of tell you, how it is and try to make you or anyone understand why we do things that we do in crime scenes, why we can't do certain things, why things are said the way they're said, why motions are done the way, why suppression hearings happen. And instead of people not knowing and then guessing and forming opinions that aren't true and then putting it out there on these shows, I've heard some just really ridiculous things that just can't happen.
There's a couple of shows that are like that are so disgusting it's not even funny.
Oh, they're absolutely,
it's just like I don't even know how they survive.
Because
it's horrific.
it's the shock and awe. I honestly think that people just want attention. They're like little children.
But they get it. I think those people should just start a cult, man.
Yeah,
they could start a cult.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's not. It is crazy. That's why, because it's crazy.
So we're not going to be
crazy,
about that. We're going to be real, and we're gonna talk about things. We're gonna try to evaluate what people are saying, and it's not going to be all about cases. I've got a lot of surprises that are coming, everyone. A lot of unique things that me and the team have been working on and we're talking about that are going to really, really knock your socks off. They're really cool things that we're going to do.
I'm really psyched about it. I'm really psyched about it. I think it's going to be great. And Jeff, it's great to see you there. You look like such a nice man and you say great things. So
yeah,
keep your chin up, man.
Can she hear me on the call? Can the call hear me?
People should start acting like that.
She can hear me.
You're doing great.
I don't think she can hear me.
You can hear Jeff, can't you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't.
You can't?
Yeah, I don't think she can hear me.
I can't because I don't have I'm not really tech savvy when it comes. I've never actually called into one of these shows. So just figured I had to.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I know I can't.
I'm privileged.
You're welcome.
That you called my show for your first call. And I hope.
Well, keep fighting a good fight.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna get some. This is my first real show, so I got to figure some stuff out. And it's just I'm the hands-on guy. You can't give me a manual and expect me to read it. I'm not gonna comprehend it. I gotta do it. I'm just one of those people. A lot of people are. So my son.
Shortly down the line, it'll be perfect and easy.
Yeah, once I do it a few times, it'll be much easier. This phone thing is. I just revamped some stuff and changed the screen around, and I think I messed something up with I did something. I don't know. I didn't put it back together right or something. Who knows?
You look better this show. I like the way you look. This is you look really good.
Things are still working a little bit. So you're doing great.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Let's take another one. 386-287-1997. We're gonna take two more calls, and that's gonna be it. And then we'll I'll go in and read some of these questions and start answering those. So 386-287-1997.
I'm so half tempted to call in and disguise my voice.
Yeah, right. Actually, we're just gonna do one more call. Hold on, buddy. Don't take off yet. You know what? We've been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. We're gonna shut the lines down, and I'm just gonna start answering some of these questions. Everybody's asking a bunch of questions, and let me scan through some of these here. Jeffrey, hold on a second.
Well, you only say Jeffrey when I'm in trouble. That's the name my mom. That's my mom calls me full name, Jeffrey, when I'm in trouble.
Nah, you're definitely not in trouble, bud.
Jeffrey.
All right. So,
have my voice
to my mods, if you see any good questions that you need to throw up on the screen, go ahead. There's so many, guys. I may have to go into chat tomorrow and start answering some of these questions. but it'll flow better. I promise you guys. So bear with me.
Thank you,
But
sportsy
how'd you
girl.
like the content? I think the content was phenomenal. I think we brought something new to the show. And I hope that it, anyone that's on the fence or naive enough to believe that one person couldn't commit this crime,
You
I
can't
hope
hear
you
me,
changed
Scotty?
your mind. What's that?
Scotty says they can't hear me.
I
Check
don't know
1
why.
2. Check
You're
1 2.
not muted.
I think
Is there a reason why?
yeah, Mindy can hear me.
Do we
Thank
X
you,
out of this
80s
stuff?
kid. 80s kid said it's great live. I can
Let
hear
me
Jeff.
X out some of the stuff.
Yeah, everybody can hear me. It looks like, or
So everybody can hear you now. All right.
I can speak up. Maybe I'm mumbling. Am I mumbling? Mumbling.
Let's
Oh,
see here. Just Larry, it's wrong. Dragon defendants' families. Chris Watt's family is really treated bad. You're right. You're right. They didn't commit the crime. A family member committed the crime. They're victims too. Do you think the Watts family aren't victims? I mean, they lost, two beautiful little babies. So, I mean, it's not to be forgotten when you have other victims, and just because they shouldn't be vilified because they knew Chris Watts or they were related to Chris Watts. There's all kinds of victims here, and that's what people forget. They often vilify the whole family. Do you think that Mr. Kohlberger and Ms. Kohlberger don't feel bad and aren't, mortified as to what's going on? I heard that they may even be moving. That's a rumor out there. So we don't know. I mean, I couldn't imagine, one of my brother or, somebody in my family committing this horrific crime. That would be horrible.
You think Brian's dad will be on the witness stand and talk about that long drive to Pennsylvania?
They'll I'm sure they've subpoenaed him. We would have to see. I don't know what they're going to do. He doesn't have to testify, but they're going to try and compel him to. He's going to be able to. What's this, bud? I just hit 4. We just hit 400. That's awesome. My son's passing me notes here. All right, buddy, you can go to bed. He's got school tomorrow. Love you. Thank you. Everybody say bye to Tanner. Here, lean in here and say bye.
Goodbye.
Awesome job, kid.
yeah, he did awesome. So I'm sorry, where were we, Jeff?
We were talking about the dad, subpoenaing.
Well, I would have loved to have been a fly on the ceiling of the car. And that had to be because you just gotta think that any prudent person, any intelligent person would have to think, you know what? This is kind of weird, I've got a son that's got a white Elantra. He's in the criminal justice. He's trying to be a professor. He's doing all this stuff. He's done some weird stuff in the past. He's introverted. He's just a little weird. So you have to wonder.
And he had just lost his job, right, as the teaching assistant. I wonder if his dad knew that at the time.
Well, once again, we've got disappointment. You don't know how his dad treated him. You don't know if he pacified him. You don't know how he treated him. He could have been very condescending and beat him down verbally. We don't know that. I don't know that he did. I don't know what his, I believe his mother was a school teacher. So I can't see that happening. They're all into psychology. Both sisters are I don't know if they're psychiatrists or psychologists. I don't know what they are, but I do know that they studied psychiatry. or psychology. And, so there's obviously probably, a good family network there, but we don't know. We don't know what drove him to do this. We don't know. Again, allegedly. But what I do know is, and what I want to drive this to the end of the show was, if you think that one person couldn't do this, you're extremely naive. Extremely naive. Be very easily done by one person. And you don't even have to be strong. All you have to do is have the element of surprise. That's it. And a pretty substantially sized knife. And inebriated victims.
And two, add to that list, if he encountered each one of the four one at a time. I mean, all four at once, yeah, that would be difficult. They could take him down, take the knife away. But in the theory that runs through my head, I think he encounters each one of them one at a time, and just takes, does what he does to them one at a time.
Right. I agree. I think, well, opinions will vary a little bit, but I believe that he was probably fighting Kelley and Maddie together.
Right. Because your theory is they're together in that room.
I don't believe that he encountered one at a time. So how could he encounter Ethan or Xana and not be encountering the other one, unless he totally got them by element of surprise? So I think that at some point he had to quickly incapacitate one to get to the other, and vice versa.
Right.
So yes, did he encounter one at a time? Yeah, but he was fighting two at a time each time.
But I wonder if it's possible that, so you had a pair upstairs, a pair downstairs. If you have the same scenario where one of the pair upstairs is asleep and maybe, and inebriated, and you have the same scenario downstairs where one is more asleep than the other's awake. That's how I guess I get to the one at a time, because he's, or I had a theory that maybe, is it possible that Ethan was in the bathroom when everything that was happening to Xana happened? Because I was trying to figure out, how do you explain a male voice that's saying, it's going to be okay, I'm here to help you. And so my theory, I don't know if I've kind of slid away from that theory, but if the reason it made me think of this theory is because, when my wife and I order food, like a DoorDash or Uber Eats or something, she's always about like, go wash your hands. It's like, all right, go wash my hands. So he goes, if I'm going to the bathroom to wash my hands and I also have to do other stuff, maybe you close the door, you're in the bathroom. When you come out of the bathroom and you see your girlfriend is lying on the floor just inside the bedroom door, but you don't see this guy clad in black because he's just to the right. You just see a narrow doorway. You see your girlfriend laying on the floor. Maybe you don't see blood at that point, and you're like, would you fall? Did you pass out? Or did you bump your head? It's okay. I'm here to help you. And you go in, you lean down to help your girlfriend, and the next thing you know, you're being stabbed in the back, or however.
Well, there's also something to think about, when he was in this, he was a security guard at some point. And, in training, they often train you to try and de-escalate situations. So picture him in there and someone's panicking and he's like, it's okay. Shh, I'm here to help. Shh, I'm not going to hurt you.
Right.
Could be a scenario like that. We don't know. He's trying to divert fear by using a calm tone. He very well might have done that.
Right.
And there's also, all the talk about there's somebody here. We do know that a DoorDash driver pulled up and did a delivery around that time. So when you see headlights flashing through the front windows of the place you live, what do you say? Somebody's here. So that could have very well been, you know, somebody's here because it was a DoorDash driver there earlier. We don't even know when that was stated. You know, so there's a lot of different scenarios we can kick around all day long, but you know, we're never going to know, as far as I know, unless Dylan has a lot to say. We're not going to know much because he's not going to tell us. You know, he's not going to tell us.
Don't you think?
So,
I know for me, part of talking about the possible scenarios. I don't know if anybody else goes through this in their mind. As you're talking about the possible scenarios, it's kind of like a time machine, and it takes you back. And just for that moment that you're talking about these possible scenarios, they're alive again. And it's
yeah.
I don't know if that's a therapeutic kind of thing. It feels like it for me sometimes. You know, I just feel like, you know, you just imagine the moments, like when you look at the Linda Lane footage, and I'm just looking at the clock on the Linda Lane footage, and I'm thinking, like, if this happened at 4:00, and I'm looking at 3:00, and it's like they've got an hour, you know, they've got an hour left of precious life, and you know, just it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah, I mean, it's
can't hit
certainly
rewind.
hard. It's certainly hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
can you just imagine, you know, what the inside of that place must have been like for a very short amount of time? You have 4 vibrant people that are no longer with us, and the horror that must have went through their minds because they knew they were going to die. They knew it for that split second, or maybe longer. Maybe it wasn't an instant death. Maybe it was a, you know, extreme suffering. But somebody knows, and the only person that knows is him. But what I wanted to push here tonight was he could have very well done it by himself. He did do it by himself. I'm 100% certain of that. Anybody that would suggest differently is just, in my opinion, just trying to get attention because it's ludicrous. It's absurd. Anything's possible. But we gotta think, is it plausible? No, I don't think so. In fact, I know so.
Also,
They've
too,
done a
when you
great
start
job.
to
Go ahead.
when you start going the road we went down tonight, where we really focused on the weapon and how ferocious and the weapon is, when you take, I think when you don't take that kind of thing into consideration, and you don't think about it, because it's ugly, it's not fun to look at, but when you don't look at it, then I think it makes it easier for you to say, oh, this is impossible. This isn't possible to is impossible to do this in this amount of time, because you're not looking at that side. You leave that, you kind of you turn a blind eye to that, and then it can't be that. Before you know it, you're talking about tunnels, and you're talking about drug cartels and all kinds of stuff. And I think it's you
got to be able to, you in order to be convinced, I think for a lot of people, you have to be able to close your eyes and actually put yourself there. And you have to be able to think like a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to close your eyes and think about it for a moment. You know, it's like we did these clips tonight. Close your eyes and think about being in any of those scenarios. Saving Private Ryan scene where the soldier was on top of the German soldier was on top of the American soldier, and he was like, shh, shh. The guy was begging for his life. He had that big knife pressed into his sternum, and he just slid it in slowly.
Right.
And you watch that man take his last breath. Could have happened just like that. I think it was a lot more violent than that. But wouldn't take much. And again, you're talking about a knife this long.
Right.
This long.
Well, like that guy that was doing the scenario where the guy was attacking him, where he was talking about where, like, you might see this, you feel this punching that looks odd. It doesn't look like the way somebody would punch you, but all it feels like at the moment is punching.
Yeah.
That's,
You
I mean, it's
don't
frightening. You don't know
know.
what- yeah.
A sharp edged weapon is gonna penetrate your skin, come back out. It's a sharp edged weapon. That's why scalpels are used.
Right.
That's a sharp edged weapon. We don't know whether he sharpened it. We don't know anything about what he did with that weapon. What we do know is that male female snap on that sheath had his DNA in it. How'd that get there? Explain that away, Mr. Kohlberger. Oh, wait, Brian. Wait, Jeff. It was planted.
Right.
They planted that. They just went after this innocent college wannabe professor, and they got his DNA. They placed it on the male female snap. Of all the places, that's where they're going to put it. And then after these homicides, they brought it there when they don't even know what the weapon is.
Mm-hmm.
And they just happened to put the right sheath there, fitting the weapon that was used, because the autopsy will reveal that, everyone. People don't understand. They do tests on cadavers, and now they have ballistic gels, like you saw, where you can actually determine pretty much within certainty, because they do test on multiple edged weapons, and they can tell what kind of knife it was. It's very easy to do for trained forensic
Right.
specialist.
Yeah, I saw somebody had a video they posted up. It was one of the YouTubers that I know their name, but I can't remember who it was. But they had they showed like that little hilt where the at the edge, right where between the blade and the handle, that little hilt, when that hits it leaves a bruise in the shape of the hilt
guard.
on the guard. Yeah, the guard leaves a mark. On the skin. It's like a bruise.
Right. You listen to Forged in Fire when they're wielding those knives and they're trying to get them to break. That's a lot of the complaint from those guys, is they want it to be wielded comfortably. And a lot of the complaint will be from the guard. If the guard's not sanded good and it's got a little jagged edge and it cuts their hand. I've actually seen parts of the show where he put it in his hand and it was so sharp that the guy was out of the show because he didn't do a good job sanding that guard, and he wasn't going to wield it because it would cut his hand even with gloves on. So
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things that we would have to consider, but I would say this. I would say that he was prepared. He probably stood in front of a mirror wielding that knife many times. Taking that knife, cuffing it, working side to side, doing all the things that you do. Now, what a lot of people don't know about knife fighting is a lot of the times, like a samurai sword, the sheath for a samurai sword is also used as a weapon. Distraction, slicing, they can use the sheath as a weapon. And we don't know that he didn't have it in his hand as part of, he's double fisted with two weapons. The sheath is a hard piece of leather. It's not a flexible piece of leather, but he probably didn't have a belt, so he didn't put it on his belt. He probably walked in there with it shoved down in his pants. And when he got into it, he didn't anticipate a fight. So when he got into that struggle, it might have fell out of his pants, or he had it in his hand and he had to cut it loose. But there's also something that people don't realize too that could have happened, and this could have happened. Could be a ridiculous theory, but it could have happened. Maybe when he left, maybe Ethan and Xana weren't gone yet. Maybe he came back to find that sheath, and then he encountered Ethan and Xana. Maybe when Dylan was at the door, there was nothing to see. Maybe there was nothing that had happened down there. She just saw him walk by and head to the back sliders. Maybe he came back to find that sheath because he was freaking out, because he was trying to do whatever he was doing with the evidence. And he realized it because we've got him coming back. I don't remember the timeline. The time he came back at 9 something. Came back. I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me. But he could come back because that's what arsonists do. They love to watch their work. Maybe he came back because he wanted to see when it all went down. He wanted to be there to see all the carnage, to see the police come, to see the screaming, to see the, just the chaotic mess that he left. Could have came back for that, which is probably more likely. He wanted to see the end result of his work. But we don't know. And like I said, we're never going to know. Because something tells me he's not going to tell us. But on that note, we're pushing on 3 hours here. 5 o'clock in the morning rolls around pretty quick for me. And,
you heard my phone ring, right? That was my wife.
Yeah. She's saying your hall pass is gone, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, at least she wants you to come to bed.
I said, right? I think we'll be done soon. She said, you are not right.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Well, when you were saying earlier, you said disappointment when you were talking about Koberger. That it's funny. My wife, when if I do something that's a little just like I miss the mark, it's so funny. She'll just look at me, and that's all. She'll just look at me and say, disappointment. She'll just shake her head and say, disappointment. Like she'll say, did you bring home any dinner? No, I did. I thought we just ordered something. She just like, disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Jess Larry's in here. What's up, buddy? Alexandra Nicholas. How are you? Just Larry's a trip.
Just Larry used to do political ads like I did.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
He's a I think he's a lot like me. He's
so curious. That's right.
And he's had a lot to say. I'm gonna have him up on panel one of these days. I got a feeling. We'll get just Larry to call in. So curious, Diane. Hey, how are you? I know So Curious. She's funny. She's very, very into this stuff.
Hey, John, what do you think? Alexandra was asking about those stools at the back sliding glass door. Did you have any thoughts on those?
When I first saw those stools, we'd have to go back and look at those pictures, Jeff, because it seems like when I first saw those stools, and I could be mistaken because it's been 8 months, but I thought the stools were kind of laying in the floor, but they weren't up against that door. And then I saw a picture of them up against the slider, like they were being used as a locking mechanism.
Yeah.
But my thought on the stools is if there was a struggle outside of the rooms, I mean, what better piece of defensive equipment could you pick up than those bar stools? I mean, you see it in fights and movies all the time. Roadhouse, they picked up bar stools all over the bar. I mean, I doubt it. I mean, they may have been laying there for the very purpose of securing the door. And there's so many different scenarios. I mean, the first thing you do when you have a dog when you get home is let the dog out. So if he's surveilling them and he knows that that's the routine, that could have been his opportunity to get in.
Right.
When she let the dog in and came back, he could have been standing there waiting with the knife and, simply walked up behind her, put the knife to her throat and said, "We're going in." Then put the dog in the bedroom and then walked into Maddie's room. We don't know. I mean, this is all just, it's all hearsay, speculation, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But you know, it's okay because we don't know these things. It's okay to talk about it, but don't. But victim bashing, I'm not into that.
Right.
Saying nasty things like they're drug dealers, I'm not into that. You know, you better have some evidence before you start spewing stuff like that, because there's not even an inkling of that. That's just somebody
from a law enforcement perspective, there were numerous officers that went up there about noise complaints. If that was truly a drug house and was a crazy drug house, wouldn't those officers take the opportunity to, you know, take a drug dog with them, or just handle the situation differently than?
Well, you heard me the other night. You heard me the other night on the show say, you know, okay, we've got a drug house. This is. I mean, it's such a big. I mean, the cartel is running dope into this house. I mean, you got pills, you got meth, you got coke, you got heroin. Oh, it's just a cocktail party of drugs at this house. Yet they have noise complaints all the time, and you've got officers on one video. They said they'd been there 2 or 3 times, and they're like, "Look, we don't want to have to call the frat. We don't have to call the university. You guys need to tone it down. We don't want to have to come back." Right. Now, that's not how it works, people. In the real world of law enforcement, when you have a dope house and you get complaints at that dope house, and you want to get rid of this dope house, you're going to harass the hell out of them. You're going to stroke them with city ordinance violations, citations, whatever you got to do to make their life hell. Because maybe you're a small department, you don't have the resources to take down a dope house without calling in some help. But I tell you what, you're going to make their lives miserable. You're going to sit out there, and every car that pulls out of there, you're going to do pretextual stops, because they do happen. You're going to start harassing people. You know why that didn't happen? You know why they didn't do that?
Why that?
Because it wasn't a drug house.
Yep.
You know why they didn't? They didn't harass them. They were cool to them. Because it wasn't a drug house.
I mean, they cranked country music on a big old speaker, and they did videos inside the house pretending they were each other. And it, you know, I don't see any evidence
Jeff,
other than if I were to go, if I allowed my thinking to say, hey, Kelley just bought a new car. That's not a cheap car. She must be involved with drugs and drug money.
Yeah,
you can only afford a car like that if you're in
she must be just stoned out of her mind all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, geez. But you know what? I don't care about weed. Smoke all the weed you want. I don't care. But they're implying that it was a hardcore drug house.
Right. Yeah, they're talking about flushing hundreds of thousands of dollars down the toilet.
Yeah, the rumor that she flushed $250,000 worth of something down the toilet.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's what they're gonna get you for. They're gonna get you.
Yeah.
These people are unbelievable. Why? Why? Why are these creators doing this? You know why? Because they have no content. They have no integrity. They don't know how to talk about anything else because they're not qualified.
Right.
They're just bullshitters. Excuse my French. Swore I would try not to curse. But
I mean, there's a part of me that can understand leave no stone unturned. We're going to check out everything. You don't want to possibly miss what it is, you know, in this trying to solve this little puzzle, this mystery, as best we can with what little evidence and stuff that we have to go on. But come on, there's a point where it's well, just like you're saying, you were just noting, we've been on for 3 hours. But that maybe there's some that are like, I've only been on for 1 hour. What am I going to do for 2 more hours? I got to come up with something. Somebody calls in, has some notion that, I think they were I think there was an alien abduction. I think that might have been what it was. And let's talk about that for the next few hours.
You know what's funny, Jeff, is I'm still trying to figure this whole YouTube thing out. I don't get all the ins and outs and clicks and what makes it work and what drives the algorithm, all that garbage. I don't care. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do, though. I'm not going to waste people's time by sitting on here for 14 hours one time and then brag about that I've been online for 14 hours with my girlfriend bringing in my Burger King for me, and I'm just sitting there getting whatever all day so I can drive my algorithm up so I can make money. I'm not going to repost my stuff all the time. I might repost it occasionally because there might be good content that I think somebody didn't see. So I might rename it and repost it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to entertain BS, and I'm damn sure not gonna freaking waste people's time with lies because I can. It makes no sense.
You know, when I first started in the TV business, I mean, back then this was before YouTube, and it would have been an ideal thing to get a job at a TV station. Maybe running a camera, maybe you're a director, maybe you just take care of the titles and the graphics, but you were just one part of a big team that was doing, broadcasting out to, well, at least the area, maybe even farther than that. So I feel like because I've been through that, I mean, there's a responsibility with this powerful tool we have. You can hit a button with your computer mouse and you're broadcasting to, however many people choose to watch what you're doing. And, you should never take that lightly. That is used to not be that way. Used to be, it's a very powerful tool.
You know what it is, Jeff? And I'm going to say it. This may not be popular with people, but it's the truth. There's so much disdain. There's so much hate. There's so much mistrust for law enforcement, for the criminal justice system in general, that these shows that are doing this prey on people having that disdain and that hatred and that bitterness. They prey on those people.
Right. They want to feed it. Yeah.
They promote it. They dump fuel on a smoldering fire, and they create it again. It's wrong. Our media today, I don't even watch the news, man. I can't take it because it's taken so far out of context and so far from reality. Every cop beats people, but you know what you don't see? You don't see what happened before the fact that the cop was having to fight the individual. You don't ever see that, do you?
Right.
You only see the end result. You only see the end result of the officer having to use force. I mean, do you honestly think if I wanted to arrest a 10-year-old kid, if that 10-year-old kid did not want to be arrested, I'd have to get physical. It's just the facts, people. It's called violence. It's called fighting. It's called not wanting to be arrested.
That's like, remember there was that
on you.
There was that officer in Ferguson, that they ended up kind of burning a lot of Ferguson afterwards. After that, I don't need to go into detail on that, but when I heard that prior to the call that was the incident that everybody heard of, the call he was just on just before that, he was at an apartment, I think, helping a woman with her child. Something was going on. He waited there and helped her with the child until the ambulance came. And, this was a little baby. The race was different, because he was called, all kinds of things. The news media sometimes can, they feeding in the same way, the race part gets into there, but, like you're saying though, yeah, an officer is dealing with all kinds of calls all day long, and they're going from this to that to the other, and it's not an easy job. I mean, I've never had a job where, I have to stop and think every now and then, might not make it home alive tonight. Something might happen tonight. This might be my last day. I mean, that's pretty heavy to weigh on you. And also too, it's like when chaos and craziness is happening, you go against everything that's human nature to run away from it. You got to run into it. And and how do you feel? And maybe you could answer this question. How do you feel when that's your job and you take on that assignment to run into it, and then you hear all the people that are just talking so bad about you because you're law enforcement and it's like really? I'm running into it for those same people that are,
what do I think about it? I think it's disgusting, man. I really do. You know what else I think is disgusting? When a police officer is conducting an investigation, let's just say a traffic stop, doesn't matter. For someone to walk up on that police officer with a cell phone and start antagonizing him while
Right.
he's conducting his traffic stop, you don't know what he's doing. He could have a suspect and a major case pulled over, but to have somebody come up and start questioning because they can. A lot of states are implementing laws that you won't be able to do that anymore. That's not your right to do that. At the point that you impede on an investigation because an officer is distracted from doing what he's doing because someone's standing behind him and screaming and yelling, that's not your right.
Yeah, and if
That's
the
not
person you
your right.
pulled over is a dangerous person, and they see a person with a camera, it's like, I can pull this citizen
but
here into this mess, and
you can go on right now to YouTube and find these clowns that have made tons of money doing that, and then they call the officers names. They try to push the officer to be unprofessional and come over and slam them and beat the hell out of them. That's what they want. It's a sick United States of America we're living in right now, people. And until we start putting our foots down and ending this stuff and fighting back, we're heading in the wrong direction, people.
Right.
We are a nation of laws. We were founded because we are a nation of laws, and we are a great nation because of laws. We have rights. These rights are protected every day. We have people that have gone out and given their lives so that we can have these rights, so that we don't have to live in a socialistic or communistic country. We have freedoms. But you know what? In my opinion, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Just because you can walk up behind a police officer and you can start antagonizing the hell out of him and you can run it on a YouTube video and you think that's funny, doesn't mean you should. And
Right.
states are actually enacting laws that you can no longer do that. You have to stay back a certain amount of feet. Many states, it's like 25 feet or something like that. I don't remember. I just read one recently. If you do that, you're impeding an investigation. You're inciting an affray. Back in, before I left, somebody ran up to me and did that. And I see a crowd starting to gather. They're going to be in cuffs right next to the person that I'm taking down. I wouldn't tolerate it. Then they try to sue me. Oh, well. I'm going home at night.
Yeah, it's funny.
But,
The same kind of thing doesn't happen with, like, say, firefighters, right? The firefighters aren't seen in the same light as police officers. You imagine if a firefighter, somebody came up and
firefighters not going to take your freedom away,
right? But it wouldn't, if you flipped it around and that. If you flipped it around and that did happen, like somebody comes up with a phone, look at this firefighter, he's doing his job, and we don't like him. We don't like it. I'm going to catch him doing something. If I was a firefighter, I'd say, come on in, come on.
Yeah.
It's going to get a little hot, but come on, follow me. I'm going to.
It's
do my
a
job.
thankless job. I mean, it was getting really hairy at the end when I decided to go into the private sector. I mean, I'd been shot at 9 times all in one night. It's not like I got shot at 9 separate times, but I mean, they blew the tail lenses out of my car, the back windshield, it knocked the rear view mirror off because I pissed off some dopers.
Yeah.
I took their dope. They weren't happy about it. And as I was pulling out, they decided to unload. But I can tell you this much. I'm over it. You know, and it's, you know, places like we're on right now, YouTube, that allow these people to air this stuff. And I think it's wrong. But we live in America. We have the right to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Something's gotta give.
I
You
do
know, it
find
really does.
myself I occasionally will post comments on, you know, those what do they call it? The auditors, I think that's what they call themselves, that sometimes I just can't resist that. You know, it's like, really, are you, I know there's bad apples everywhere, but to assume that the next apple you run into is a bad apple, I mean, you're not going to be tasting an apple for a long time because your viewpoint is that they're all bad apples. I mean,
right.
Trust and enjoy an apple every now and then, right? You know, just go take a bite. If if you run into a bad apple, deal with it in court. You know, it can just, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to do wild stuff. You don't have to run. You don't have to assume you're going to get shot. You know, it's just deal with it in court. It's like you might go to a restaurant. You get a bad waiter every now and then. Happens, right? So no big deal. Don't let it get out of hand. You know. So
well, you know, we can kick this around all night long, but you know, it's not going to change anybody's feeling. They're set in their ways. People that think that way, they're set in their ways. You're not going to change them. But you know what we can try to change? We can try to change the way that our youth are being brainwashed today. We can try to change those things. We can go back to the way that it should be, you know, with morals, ethics, family values. We can try to do that, you know, but it's so hard today. We got nothing but keyboard tough guys and tough girls out there. We don't have people that do what we're doing right now. Certain generations, they just don't have it. That's why suicide is so high, because they're keyboard tough guys and tough girls, and they can't get out there in the real world and have a conversation with somebody, or have a debate, or have a disagreement,
right,
without potentially committing suicide if things don't go their way, or they're bullied. We don't have that anymore. What happened to that? I mean, was it because of these?
Yeah.
I mean,
actually, and if you combine one of those with some headphones, you're sure you can be standing right next to other humans and not interact with them at all.
Well,
and that
you know,
human, that could have been your best friend in the future if you'd just
it's funny
interacted.
because we were talking today. Remember, we were talking earlier today, and I was driving. We're talking about windshield time. I love the word windshield time. And, you know, today I can be upset at a situation, and I can sit in my car and I can talk to myself, and I can scream to the top of my lungs at the front windshield, and no one will think anything of it. But just 20 years ago, if somebody saw me doing that, they're going to think I'm crazy as hell. Look at that guy. He's talking to himself. Now, think about it, people. I mean, you see that all the time. You don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And every now and then I'll see somebody next to me, and I'll forget that it's that way now. And I'm like, that chick's talking to herself. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh. You know, she's on the phone. Hands free. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So until we can get back to, you know, using our gray matter to figure stuff out and communicate as a people, you know, we just, our brains are going to shrink.
It's funny, that kind of thing happens with when I pick up my stepson from work. Like he's getting into the car, He's got his headphones in, but I don't realize it. And he gets in and he'll say something like, well, it took you long enough. I'd be like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. It's like, oh, I thought you were talking to me.
One of our viewers made a comment I read. I'm sorry, guys. I got to get better at this. I got to figure out how to get my mods to post. And I may not have given them authority to do that, to take some of these questions and put them on the screen so I know they're there. These are all things that we're going to have to work out. But someone had said, had mentioned, and I often thought that too. A lot of these college kids go to sleep with their earbuds in. They're listening to music to go to sleep. So maybe maybe they all had earbuds in. Maybe Dylan had them in. Maybe Bethany had them in. Maybe they didn't hear anything because they were listening to a podcast or just music or just relaxing. I put storms, thunderstorms on YouTube, and I turn the TV on and I go to sleep with thunderstorms. You can lay all night long and listen to a thunderstorm if you want. Did you know that?
Yeah.
The lightning will flash on the screen and everything. It'll light up your house. It's like there's a real thunderstorm. Somebody's out there recording that stuff, making money. We don't know. But what I know is people are saying that one man couldn't do this, and that's what this show is about. I think we proved that one man could certainly do it. Adrenaline, huge factor. Inebriated victims, huge factor. Element of surprise, probably the hugest factor.
Mm-hmm.
Means, opportunity, and motive. We only need two of those, means and opportunity. We don't need a motive. We don't need to know what the motive was. Perpetrator has to have a motive, but we don't need to know what it was. We only have to prove means and opportunity. Motive would be a bonus if he told us what happened. That's what interviews and interrogations are for. Try and figure out the why. And that's what I want some of these shows to be about. Why did allegedly Brian Kohlberger commit these heinous crimes? Why can't we have discussions about that? Why can't we have theories about that?
Right.
I'm all about it. Let's talk about that stuff. Let's not talk about the victims and their families having to listen to this garbage. Let's not have somebody get on a spirit box for hours and hours and hours and purport and use their digital enhancing equipment, which I know for a fact now that I talked to the person I talked to today that said that this person actually did that because he has a studio and he's very good with that. And he can put those words in there at the same time that spirit box is spinning. How ironic is you start a show and you turn the spirit box on and the victims' names are being said because you asked it to. You know how much money is made off of doing garbage like that? It's disgusting. Find something else to talk about. And if you're one of those people that listen to that garbage and send money into those people, shame on you. Shame on you. That's not entertainment. This is entertainment. Jeff and I are entertaining you. We created a movie for you. Hopefully some of you ate your popcorn like I suggested.
I was entertaining once. I think once before I was entertaining. Maybe I'll be entertaining again.
Yeah. Jeff's entertained. We're going to have Jeff play some guitar for us, man. He's going to throw down some serious, guitar solos for us. He can play about anything. I had him play what I asked you to play the other day. Some Eagles, some Hotel California. I said, hey, Jeff, play me some Hotel California. I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
He did it. 0.2 seconds.
Music's a great thing. If you all out there are not musicians or not playing any kind of music, it's like your hands aren't getting any younger. Your hands are going to get older with time. And I'm so thankful these hands can still work They almost work as good as when I was in high school when I started playing guitar, but not quite. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You could just
You know
you
what
just
my
keep
hands are
pushing a little
for?
bit.
My hands are to play ball,
Swinging a bat, swinging a miss.
play golf, anything with a round object. I'm in. You know, I used to be a scratch golfer, but I had to give up both. I was playing golf and softball so much, and I was coaching my kids. You know, my wife never saw me. She got to give something up. I'm like, well, I could always go back to playing golf. It's
Yeah.
not really it's not that physical of a sport, but I'm still playing ball at a pretty competitive level. So I'm going to do that till I can't anymore.
That's good for
When
the
I
body
can't
and the
anymore.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your reaction time to things and your strategies and your camaraderie and the friendships that are built.
That's it.
That's awesome.
That's the main thing is going with, like this team, the Daytona Beach Boys. I mean, we're all great friends. We have a good time. We don't, it's not a bunch of guys that go out and get drunk and, that kind of garbage. We just, we
Right.
bring our better halves with us most of the time. We're going to Utah in a couple months. We're going to Vegas next month. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
And, it's creating those memories with your friends. And if the Lord decides to take me between the lines, I'll be happy. I would gladly die doing something that I love and something that I have passion for. I'd rather do that than suffer with a disease.
Right.
But I'm going to wrap it up, guys.
I was going to say, speaking of better halves, I better
get. I'm gonna Jeff's hall passes run out. We're pushing 12:22 a.m. here on the East Coast, and I really appreciate everyone. And I'm sorry, guys, that I'm not as fluid as everyone else, but we'll get this down. I would love to sit here and answer some of your questions, and I'll have, when I get more mods, I'll have them popping these things in so we can read them off and answer them. But really, I just wanted to provide some content tonight and some things that we could all enjoy watching and ponder, the next time you hear somebody say that not just one person could do this act. I think we've proven that tonight. Some people will say no way still. But again, I'm a common sense guy. I know what I could do. I know I could take a knife with a blade this big right here. I know I could take out many people with it. Even if they were fighting, even if there was a group of them coming at me. Take out several before they get me. That's just me. So on that note, thank you, everyone. We've had a great show.
Yeah, appreciate you all.
Hit that like and subscribe. Let's get that algorithm up and out there so we can get this show up and rolling. And know this, I'm not going to take any crap from any other creators. I'm not going to listen to any of their garbage and let it go. I'm not going to do it. When they start attacking the victims and they start coming up with these crazy theories, I want you to send them to me. We're going to take these theories that they come up with, we're going to break them down. We're going to make them look stupid. Because that's what needs to be done. And no one will do it. Why? Oh, we can't talk bad about other creators. It wouldn't be good for your show.
Or have them come up on panel, right? We can discuss it.
I've challenged them. I've sent four requests out to people. But you know what? They can just come on the show and just spew whatever they want to spew. They can just talk. Why can they do that? Because they can. Because they have no consequence. Because they don't have anyone challenging them. That harsh reality guy, he just gets on here and just talks garbage about my country. Pisses me off. He can just get on there and spew this garbage about my country. Talk about your own damn country. Surely there's cases over there you can talk about. Australia, that's where they used to send all the criminals. Did you know that? It's where they would exile people to Australia. Exile them there. Take them to the island and dump them off. All the bad people go there. I'm not saying that Australians are bad. I'm just saying, I'm just making a factual statement. Don't talk about my country. Piss off, mate. That's what you would say. That's what I'm saying right back to you. But you know what? If you're going to do that, at least have the kahunas to pick up the phone and call into this show. Set your clock. You'll know when I'm coming on. Bring some of that garbage here. Us Americans, real Americans, don't like it. Don't like it when you second guess our country and you talk bad about our country. Talk bad about my brothers and sisters going out there and, putting their lives on the line every night. Thankless job. To my American so-called creators that sit back and spew this garbage 24/7, make up these obscene lies, victim bash. We're going to address it. I can guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that would love to come to this show and tear you apart. And I'm going to give them a platform to do it. We just got to get more organized, get the flow going. It's going to be a wonderful place to come. Be a place to come to vent. Talk about how ridiculous they are. No conscience. They have no conscience. But what they do have is they had those clicks and they had those super chats. Money here, $2 here, $2 there. Hey, let's put my dog on the back bed and put a halo around him. Oh, treats for the dog, treats for the dog. $20 here, $50 there. Let's leave him on there for a month, 2 months. Leave a halo on his head. Are people really that stupid? Are they just that? I guess they're just generous.
That was my excuse.
Yeah, Jeff, you gave a lot of money, bro.
I did. My when I would do that was.
I hope your wife doesn't watch this.
No, I think. Yeah, I added it up roughly once, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done here?"
Yeah,
I think the thing is, I guess
man.
There must be something. There must be part of me that feels like, gosh, because what it would be is, you get a thought, and it's like, this is a good thought. It adds to this conversation. Might even clarify something. Nobody's seeing it when I just comment. Yeah, let me put a couple dollars to get it seen. And then sometimes it was just, I feel like being generous. Hey, coffee's on me today. You're doing a great show. I appreciate you.
And you know what? I'm going to say it. I mean, we have a lot of time, and this show's cost me a fortune to be able to put this together. $6,000 and $7,000 in equipment right here. Just time, effort. This is hard work. It's hard work, and yes, people should be compensated if they can get donations to help keep the channel going. Absolutely. If people feel good about it and it makes them feel good, fine. But to have somebody manipulate you with lies and subliminal messages that aren't true, and the trickery that's involved in that, like posting your medication, your psychotropic medication, and saying, "Oh, well, why does this? Has anybody been on this stuff? Why does it make me so dizzy?" After you just got your ass handed to you because you want freaking sympathy, because you owe $50,000 in back child support. Give me a break. Do you think I'm stupid? I hope you people aren't that stupid. I hope anyone that was on a show like that would unsubscribe and say, "See ya, buddy. I bought your last freaking hot dog or doggy snack." It's insane to me. It's insane that people are that absolutely that silly to fall for that kind of stuff. You sit and you watch these shows, $2, $4, $10, $20, get their name. Oh, thank you, Joanna, for the $20 super chat. Oh, treats for so and so. Treats for Sammy the dog. It's a racket, man.
But you know the other thing, thing with super chats is that I used a lot was that when you get blocked, sometimes you don't know you're blocked. I learned this kind of quickly, thankfully. And your comment,
you know what, man? I felt so bad for you when I saw you doing that, bro. I'm like, what are you doing, Jeff? Stop.
Well, I would do that on channels that would block me, and it, because when it takes you a while to figure out, sometimes you've been blocked. It's like, why nobody's responding to a thing I'm saying? It's like, wait, hold on, let me try and send them $2, and then it's denied. It won't send. It says unable to send. It's like,
right.
I get it. I'm blocked. And actually, some of the channels, they think that I made all these other accounts to that's part of the reason you make another account is to come in so you can keep chatting, and then that one gets blocked, and then another one gets blocked. And never, it's funny because I could understand if I was coming in there and just acting a fool, trying to create just being a jerk and an a-hole. I'm just in there asking questions and trying to have just a conversation.
Yeah, but you know what, Jeff? You're going against their narrative.
Yeah.
You can't ask questions against their narrative.
Yeah.
That's what this show is not going to be about. If somebody wants to come in here and spew something about the fact that they feel BK is innocent, go for it. We'll debate it. I'm not going to kick you out of the show for asking the question. Just be respectful.
Right,
Don't talk to me in a condescending way like Josie did.
Well, and also too, it's nice. It's nice to have
a question. No, you weren't, Josie. You weren't just asking the question. You were being an antagonistic jerk.
It's nice. It's nice to have It's nice to have conversations with those that are on the opposite side. I mean, I enjoy that, and sometimes you can get very passionate about your stance, and it can get heated. But I think you just have to remember that it's enjoyable, and it's a tennis match. As a tennis match gets harder and harder, and your opponent is more of a challenge, you don't quit. You don't say, block that guy. I don't want them on my court.
We should all want to debate. We should all want to work on our gray matter. Keep everything flowing, our juices flowing. There's nothing wrong with a good debate. We can all agree to disagree in the end. We're all friends, hopefully, and we'll see you next time.
Right.
But what I don't like and I won't tolerate is smart aleck antagonistic people that come on just to be exactly that. I'm not going to give them that format to do that. If they want to come on here and have a intellectual conversation with some great dialogue and be respectful, I'm all about it. I'm not going to bite your head off for having an opinion, but I'm not going to allow silly nonsense either. I'm not going to give you the platform to grandstand and laugh like you said something insulting and and that doesn't fly with me. We're going to have a good time. We're going to do a lot of different things. We're going to talk about facts, like I said. And we're gonna do things to help people. We're gonna right wrongs, like we've done in the past two shows. We've righted two, in my opinion, pretty egregious wrongs.
Hey, John, you know what wrong we need to right now? I should get off of here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump off, my friend.
All right, buddy.
All right, I'm
Well,
gonna
I
sign off.
appreciate you.
You
I
get the last
appreciate
word.
you, Jeff. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay,
And
my friend.
we'll start putting together the next one. We've been talking about what we're gonna do, so we got plans on the next one. But it's not gonna be all about this case.
Right.
We're gonna
Right.
cover some other stuff, and I've got some great ideas, and I think you guys are gonna really love it. So on
Well, I
that
hope you have a
note,
great
I wanna
evening.
say,
Great.
yeah,
Good night, Kelley. Good night, Mindy.
yeah, I think Mindi already checked out,
Oh, is she gone already? Oh, okay.
probably. But
And good night
hey,
to everybody.
guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'll try and answer some of these. I will read them, I promise you. And we'll do better next time. It's just going to take some time. You know, we got some growing pains. I want to do a lot more calls. You know, I want to answer questions. I want to hear opinions and all that. Good night, Jeff. And
All right. Good night,
Kelley,
John.
great job.
Good
All
night,
right,
John
buddy.
boy.
All right. Yeah. See you, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Yeah, I'm gonna be hearing Jeffrey for sure.
Yeah,
Good night,
right.
everybody.
All right, buddy. So it's wonderful to have Jeff as part of this team. He's going to bring a lot to the show. He's genuine. He's not me. I'm not him. We're not polar opposites. We're both Christian. I'm just a little more outspoken. Jeff's a little more peaceful. I'm an in-your-face guy. That's just how I am. When I see somebody doing something that I feel's not right, the only reason that person's allowed to do it is because people allow them to do it. But when they have to have consequence, sometimes they stop. Sometimes they get a clue. We're going to work on that stuff. And I look forward to it. It's not going to make me very popular, but I don't care. Good night, friends. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.